Bonjour, Space Lizard.
Bonjour, bonjour. All good?
Yes, I am. Thank you, sir. How are you?
All good, man. All good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
We've been waiting to do this for ages. We've been talking and, well, we do talk and talk and talk a lot, but on this occasion...
I just quickly, I'm liking that back, the artwork in the background.
I'm glad you appreciate that.
Yeah. Very nice.
That is Luke's first birthday present.
Is it?
When he was 1, I bought him that because when you're 1, Dad goes to the Warner Brothers store and he buys you that.
Brilliant.
So you can tell why my son ended up how he was. Yeah, I thought in honour of the subject that we are talking about. Actually, yeah, I'm even blocking out because I realised how much Batman I've got in the cabinet. All the maquettes down here.
Yeah, you got loads there.
Dark Knight, you know. Oh, anyway.
Loads.
But anyway, we've wanted to do this for a while, and obviously with the Flash movie coming out, having really, I think, sold itself.
Well, we've been discussing about this before the channel even started.
Yeah, because we was arguing very drunkenly about who is the best Joker.
Yep.
We said afterwards, the next day when we sobered up, we said we should have recorded that because it would have been hilarious fun. So, leading on from that, so now here we are to discuss everything Batman.
Yeah.
As in the best. Let's call this the best. Maybe the best comics, the best film, maybe the best portrayal, because then portrayal covers film, TV, animated.
Yeah.
But I think we should. I think we have to start right at the beginning.
Okay.
Which is where, like, what was, and I'll let you kick it off because. What are your first memories or your first recollection of when you came into contact with Batman?
It would have been, so I was a 90s kid. So it would have been, and I was trying to think about this, and I can't put my finger, it must have been the animated. It has to have been the animated. And I think from there, I think, this is just based off of memory, I think Batman and Robin was coming out, the 97 one.
Right.
And before that came out, because I'd been watching the animated, I think my mum let me watch 89 Returns and Forever before Batman and Robin came out. So I think it was the animated, and then I think from there I went straight into those like sort of 89 and like 90s versions of Batman. I think that was my first bit. And I think from there I started, I mean, I remember having like a Batcave toy, and it had Batman, the Batcave, and it had all the Batmobile and all that sort of stuff. And then from there, I remember getting some Batman comics, but I was nowhere near a Batman collector like I am now. Nowhere near. I mean, I've been collecting Batman comics on and off since I was a kid. But I mean, my collection now, I mean, you've seen it. My Batman collection's just a whole shelf dedicated to Batman. But back then it would be 1 or 2 comics here and there. And I think it was as I got a little bit older, you know, I'm watching these films and I'm like, well, where did it come from? That's when I think I started diving into the comics a bit more.
What about merchandise wise? So
I had the toys.
So your intro, for a lot of people, like, so that was it mid-90s, the Batman animated, early to mid-90s?
Yeah, it's about 92, 93, I think, something like that.
So for a whole decade, I think for a whole generation of people, that and what a beautiful...
Oh, no, it was 90, it was 92 because it was 30 last year.
That's it. So let's call it, before it kind of run out of steam, for want of a better description, I would say a decade that lasted for, because that's what my son, hence the picture, I would sit him in front of VHS tapes of Batman animated.
And it's weird how some episodes of that still stick in my head now. Like I can't remember the last time I sat. I need to get it really. To be honest with you, I need to buy the box set of it
There,
because
there
I
is
can't.
there is a little box set available.
Is there? Have you got one?
There is a little box set available, isn't
Oh, very nice.
it? God
Very
knows
nice.
how old that is.
Very nice.
In Tales of the Dark Knight and Out of the Shadows.
Oh, very. Yeah. Do you know what? I can't remember the last time I watched that show, but there's episodes that still stick in my head.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
You know, there's episodes that stand out, and I don't think like I know you've done your video on Kevin Conroy last year. That was obviously sad that he's now gone, but you know, just the voice talent on that as well. Let alone like the animation is good, but the storytelling and the voice talent they have in that show. Like I think subconsciously when you're thinking about Batman, I still think of his voice.
Yeah, and me.
Yeah.
And Dr. Freeze. So if
Mm.
Mr. Freeze, sorry, keep calling Dr. Mr. Freeze. Whenever I read a comic with that character in it, I can hear that voice actor's I can hear it in my head.
Yeah, yeah. And Mark Hamill's Joker as well, to be fair.
Yeah, Mark Hamill's Joker, that takes a lot of beating. And it did set the tone.
Yes, it did. It had some dark moments.
And two little facts, like the Mr. Freeze episode that I think was up for a couple of Emmys. I think it won an Emmy.
The Heart of Ice one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think in 93, 94, whatever year it was, that won a story. I think it was for best story in an animated film. Anyway, it's been held in very high regard. That origin story then became, this is a weird thing, that then became canon in the comics.
Yeah, and the films, because Batman Robin did that.
it's weird that it was that way round. Normally, we're all arguing over, oh my God, that didn't happen in the comics, or that didn't happen in the book. But this one, and that's the first one, and the second one is intro Harley Quinn.
Yeah, Joker's favour. Yeah,
they created her as just as a little, as really throwaway sidekick.
And they even did a Mad Love episode, didn't they? They literally copied the comic Mad Love.
Later on, though, wasn't it? That was a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And the one other one that sticks in my head is Nearly Got Him, or because something got him, or something like that.
Yeah,
I can't remember the exact name of it.
Yeah, with all the villains saying,
yeah, they're all sitting around and almost got him. It was almost got him. It just came to my head. It was Joker, Croc, Penguin, and Two-Face, I think it was, and they're all telling their stories about how they almost defeated Batman. Yeah, and brilliant episode. I still remember that. I'd love to sit down and watch that again. Got to watch that again.
And do you know what? You having mentioned that, I'd forgot that I reviewed the Flash, the recent Flash comic, Flash 500 or 800 or 8 million, whatever it was. And they'd done this thick, and it was just all little short stories of Flash, and it was good. But the first story in it, now you're mentioning that, the first story in it was all of, well, I say all, a few of Flash's villains, or his non-villains, talking about why you never go to Central City.
Nice.
Because it's Flash's territory, and there was all these different villains around a table talking about why you can't get away with it, what they do anywhere else. You can't get away with that in Central City. I thought that, now you're saying that was quite a nice little intro to that. But yeah, what a great way to be introduced to a character.
Yeah, I think I was lucky by timing of the age and stuff like that. Because I don't remember a world without Batman, if that makes sense. Batman's always been there for me.
Yeah, well, I don't either, Liz, but my intro was the 1960s TV show. So, you know, from the sublime to the ridiculous, there was a time in the UK where there were only 3 TV channels. Now, there's emphasis on the geekyOlhog at this point. OL, with a silent D. Oh,
just a little bit. Was it in black and white still?
No, this was in glorious Technicolor, they used to call it. TM, copyright, Technicolor. And there were certain programs that would be on after school, get home from school, and there would be a, you know, a timetable of programming in the UK, and that would be one of them. And it wasn't really the best introduction, because at the same time, so I'm talking about mid 70s now, mid to late 70s, right? And I'm getting into comics. So, but what I'm doing is I'm getting reprints of Marvel comics. So I'm reading Fantastic Four, Incredible Hulk, Avengers. What would be the other early ones?
Daredevil at that point?
No.
No.
Come later on, but like that was Spider-Man, classic stuff, right? So all the reprints, the black and white reprints, I just started getting them, as well as the UK war comics. So Warlord, Battle, Victor, you know, kind of. So I'm reading war comics and I'm reading Marvel superheroes, and in the background is Batman in the TV show.
Okay.
Which was mildly amusing at best.
You can say it. It's weird how you were Marvel and then have sort of.
Well, but it's no wonder, Liz, is it? Because and then 2000 AD comes along in 1977, and you've got Judge Dredd. Not straight away, but you've got Judge Dredd, Rogue Trooper, what would be it, Strontium Dog, etc., etc. But anyway, so the comics are getting good. But my intro to Batman is that TV show, which, all right, I didn't hate it, don't get me wrong. It would be on and I enjoyed it because I was of an age where I wasn't critical and I wasn't going, oh my God, the direction of that scene could have been so much better. And oh my God,
at least you didn't have to moan about the CGI, did you?
That's me now. No, I didn't have to moan. It was entertaining on a different level, but it didn't make me want to pick a comic up of Batman.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it was only thinking about us doing this video that made me think, yeah, do you know what? There is a reason why I am Marvel through and through, not helped by that TV show. Until Dark Knight Returns. So you fast forward 10 years.
Yeah.
And comics were really changing, like from 2000 AD onwards, and a load of other things were happening. Without going into the comic side, let's keep the Batman. But I've got to briefly mention Frank Miller doing his Daredevil run in the early 80s. And then suddenly, 86, 87, Dark Knight Returns comes along. Now that comic, that changed the face. That and Watchmen, and Zack Snyder, if he was here, would agree with me. Those two collected stories changed the face of graphic storytelling, and that is the Batman book now. The Batman character, the end of the line one, that has stuck with me.
Is that so? So when you first read Dark Knight, did you think, "Oh my God, what have I been missing"? Did you go back and get any more, or was it just, "I like Dark Knight" and that's it?
From there, as a comic collector, you can only really go back from there to the early 70s stuff written by Denny O'Neil with art by Neil Adams, and they were the ones that really did liven it up.
Yeah.
After they'd done the TV show. So they'd done the TV show in the late 60s, all camp, and, you know, we all know how that was. But that comic, that brought him right up, you know, particularly Neil Adams, like the dynamism of his artwork really did bring that up into the modern age. And that's kind of like what all the springboard was from Dark Knight onwards, because without Dark Knight Returns kind of saying, all right, because it was all kind of going backwards again.
Yeah.
Before Dark, you know, the world before the Batman world before Dark Knight Returns when you look at it, oh my god, yeah.
And did that so like I say, so when you had the got the Dark Knight Returns, did you then go back at all, or did you just collect from there, or did you
No,
not collect, or did you just
Batman? That changed comics. Frank Miller had already started changing comics with Daredevil. He started bringing an adult kind of almost like a noir element to his storytelling, and that was seeping through, and you could see it by the late 80s. In a way, it was getting by the early 90s. It was almost over as a craze. Everything was dark,
yeah,
because of Dark Knight. Like, oh my god! But it's a lot of craze in anything, whether it's fashion, films, TV. You'll have these fads, but Dark Knight was the one. That was the book. It was the artwork. It was the storytelling. It was of the moment. As each kind of decade goes past, it does get a bit, just a tad more dated. But I don't mean dated in a bad way. It was just of the moment, like some of the politics in the background of it.
yeah. It's a very in-depth book, very in-depth.
Reagan era and stuff like that, and you can see it all in there.
Well, I've got the deluxe edition of that you got me, and amount of times that I've read that 2-3 times.
Yeah, superb.
It's in depth, but it just grips you every single time, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that amount of panels in every page, like
it's busy, isn't it? It's busy.
Oh,
you're thinking, oh my god,
cram it in. That crams.
Yeah.
But that for me, and we are going to choose our 3 graphic novels, aren't we?
Yeah.
Our 3 top, and we have got to narrow it down. That is my top for all the reasons. Redefining the character, bringing it into the modern era, and without going into the wider subject of why it stands out as far as graphic storytelling, sequential artwork, and etc. It goes. We won't go into that because let's keep it Batman. But that's another reason why that stands up for me as the number one for me, because I was there at the door of the comic shop picking up issue 1.
Nice.
Because of everything DC were doing, marketing it and it was like they were like, and nowadays they kind of do these $8.99 books like Brave and the Bold recently.
Yeah.
That's a monthly book, and it's a good book. Don't get me wrong. Look, I mean, it's cool. It's cool. That's issue 2 of it, but that's a $9 book. But back in the days when Dark Knight come out, the square bound format with a cardstock cover, it was like something very special in that marketplace. In the late in 86 when it was released. It was a special book, and I think it still is. And that's, I don't know why I shouldn't really start it at my number 1, should I? But that is my number 1 for a lot of reasons.
Nice.
What about you, Liz?
Would you want me to go number 1 and work our way down?
You want to do it? Go on, I'll let you do a countdown, whatever way around you want to do.
It's very generic, but my number 1 is Killing Joke.
Yeah, there's nothing generic about it,
but again, Alan Moore, Brian Boland. That was late 80s. I think that was 88 that came out.
That would have been 88, 89, yeah. And that was the same.
And the reason I loved it is because Joker is my favourite villain, especially combine that with Batman. And what I liked about it is, I mean, you look at how much that graphic novel has influenced over the years. Every director that's ever done a Batman film has always gone, yeah, I've took inspiration from Killing Joke or Long Halloween or something like that. But the quotes, the phrases, I liked how Joker, you explored his origins for the first time. It was the first time it had been really explored, only for him to go, if I was to have a past, I'd prefer it to be multiple choice. So you don't even know if that's actually his origin. He doesn't remember who he is.
Yeah.
Combined by the darkness of it, shooting Barbara. His whole thing is to try and get Gordon to go crazy and show and prove that point of it only takes one bad day.
Yes.
And for me, that is awesome. And the end joke, the ending, how it ends when it's just the Joker telling the joke, Yeah, the two guys in the asylum.
Yeah, I
And
don't
and the
trust you
flashlight.
to not switch it off here.
I mean, I think for me that in terms of influence, I think that's why that is my number one in terms of influence over the years. It's influenced a lot of stuff.
I'll tell you what it did do is it nailed the essence of the Joker. I can see why you like it, because I know that the Joker is a favourite of yours, let alone comic character, film character. I know that, you know, knowing you for a while, there is something about the Joker that just resonates with you.
Yeah.
But that book, I think, a bit like Nolan and Heath Ledger, they just get it, and a bit like the
Well, they took inspiration from that book as well.
As well,
Phoenix, Jackman Phoenix.
Yeah, and what was it, Matt? What's his name? Matt.
Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips. Sorry, so
Yeah.
Todd Phillips in that. Like those three kind of teams of creators in the book and the film, the Batman film and the Joker film, they kind of get it.
But both took inspirations from Killing Joke.
Wow. So that says it all, because it is that, and insanity is the wrong. It's anarchy. It's insanity. It's,
well, Joker says it. There's no sanity clause. He says it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But it's even something as simple as in like Heath Ledger's performance of Joker, when he talks about how he got his scars, and it's a different story every single time. That's straight inspiration from the Killing Joke.
Yeah.
You know, and even in the Joker movie with Jackman Phoenix, the stand-up comedian side of it, the one bad day, and that's kind of, and at the end when he goes, I'm just thinking of a joke, that is all from Killing Joke. There's a lot of inspiration there. So for me, that's why it's the number one. It's a dark story. And even, so I rewatched the animated version of that, and it's got Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill voicing Batman and the Joker. And they had this bit in at the beginning with Barbara. So her Batgirl is doing this mission with Batman at the beginning. And it got a lot of flack for the opening 20 minutes, and I kind of see why they did it, because they imply that there's this like romantic relationship going on between Batman and Batgirl.
Yeah.
So it adds more resonance when she gets shot and she gets paralyzed. So when he goes after, and when Batman realizes that Gordon is been kidnapped, and you know Barbara's in the state that she is and paralyzed, it adds that resonance to him when he goes in there and he's angry, he wants to get the Joker now, and for it to end on the joke at the end. But I mean, the animated, apart from the first 20 minutes, is pretty much page for page, shot for shot of how the Killing Joke graphic novel is, and even that is awesome. And I'd love to see that in live action one day. I would love to see that in live action. Yeah, I really would. I would love to see it. I'd love to see it.
Do you think it's a bit too late now? Like, why would you? I don't know why you would want to see that.
I would want to see it just because I like the darkness of it, and I want to see if someone can pull it off in that kind of way. But actually,
we don't go there, Liz. We don't go there. We're going to keep this one clean, mate.
I think for me, it'd be the intrigue of seeing if someone could do it justice.
Right.
I think that'd be the intrigue for me.
What like in live action?
Yeah, see if someone could do it justice.
I just don't think it's not as bad as having a book. What do you call it? Not translation. A book version. With a comic, you're kind of halfway there. You kind of got the live action storyboarded.
Yeah.
I don't think that sometimes, especially with that, where it was only a thin. It's not like we're talking about a graphic novel. We are literally talking about what, a 32 page story.
It was longer than that. It was probably, I reckon about 80.
It's kind of like you reckon it was that, really?
Yeah, I think it's about 80 pages.
Nevertheless, and I'm not moaning about it. I'm not saying it wasn't like absolutely superb, but I don't know whether I want to see a live action interpretation of that. I don't know whether it's necessary or not.
It'd definitely be
what live action would add to it. I think that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, and I think
having actors
that exact point I think that's kind of the point of why I'd want to see it. What can be added to it, and can they do it justice? I think that's the intrigue for me, because it is such a classic, and everything riffs off of it. Just do it. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, yeah. Well, an interesting experiment, I suppose.
Definitely. What's your next one then?
So that's
we've
your
done.
number one.
That's my number one. It has to be.
Well, so leading on from that, you're talking about Joker. My number two is Arkham Asylum.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what? This was released in the same year as the first Batman film, and
Yeah.
leading on from Dark Knight, and it still is DC Comics' number one best-selling original graphic novel of all time. So,
Really?
yeah. So
I
without
didn't know that.
printed, so all the graphic novels we get now, like your collection, and this is not demeaning anyone's collection of graphic novels. I've got plenty of them sitting here on all the shelves here. Look, but what they all are collections of the monthly comics. Arkham Asylum was written and drawn, designed, edited, and released as an original.
Just a one shot.
Yeah, a bit like Killing Joke. Killing Joke. That was an original. It wasn't 2 or 3 months worth of comics combined. It was just like 80 pages, whatever it was. It was a little one-off, not quite a graphic novel, but a special Batman special, for want of a better term. It's still their number one best-selling of all time. DC Comics.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Original, like I say, original. So Dark Knight Returns, I reckon, has sold loads more copies than Arkham Asylum. I bet Watchmen has sold more copies than Arkham Asylum, but they're not original graphic novels. They were monthly comics. They are collected editions.
Nice.
And what I did like about it at the time was, in you saying about the Joker, was the nightmare vision. It was literally, and I know they've done the game as well based on it, of Batman wandering through Arkham Asylum, and in the shadows, the Rogues Gallery.
Oh yeah.
And was it much of a cohesive story, beginning, middle, end? No, it wasn't really. It was kind of one of Grant Morrison's first forays into, I don't know.
I forgot that was Grant Morrison.
The origins of it. I think they just let him run loose. But take a look, and I have bookmarked it, and I am going to obviously drop stuff in to embellish our talk on what we're. But just to remind you, Liz, look at that Joker.
Oh, I remember that.
Look at that Joker.
That's beautiful artwork.
And look at that silhouette of the Batman. The artwork in it.
Yeah.
This resonated with me 100%. Dave McKean, who was doing the Sandman covers at the time for Vertigo.
The artwork's mad, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And but
matches the story.
Yeah, about to say that it matches the story.
Like I say, a lot of this book's detractors would say, is it a story, or is it just Batman wandering through and a load of beautiful imagery of Arkham Asylum, the nutters in there? I can see their argument. Like, where Killing Joke is a joke, is that really a story? Dark Knight Returns isn't it? But it's a beautiful piece of work, and it sticks with you. And like Killing Joke has stuck with you. So does it have to be beginning, middle, end as such?
Just has to capture imagination, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It has to just burn in. And that's the same year as Tim Burton's Batman.
Treated.
So you're kind of getting, you've got that gothic, like I say, my journey has been from the 60s camp TV show in the background almost of my comic book journey into Dark Knight Returns. Oh wow, Batman's grown up, look at this. And I know it's the end of the line stuff, but nevertheless, wow, God, look at this. Then then Tim Burton's gothic Batman comes out, and Arkham Asylum's there.
Nice.
So, now I'm into it. Now I'm into Batman.
Yeah, nice.
Now I'm loving it. But what's your second choice?
The Long Halloween.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Jeff Loeb and Tinsel. It's
All right.
again,
So what?
yeah. I mean, what I love about the Long Halloween is it embellishes the detective side of Batman. I do like that. You know, he's hunting holiday killer.
Yeah, I do.
I like the fact it crams everything in there. You got the crime families, the Maronis and Falcones fighting. You've got all the rogue gallery appearing as he's trying to work out who this holiday killer is. You've almost got like the Hannibal Lecter aspect when he goes and meets Calendar Man, and
Yeah,
he goes to meet Calendar Man for advice and stuff like that. Yeah, that one just stuck with me. It always has stuck with me, and I've got the sequel to it, Dark Victory, as well. But Long Halloween for me, it's just everything you want. Batman, it's got some good action, it's got some mystery, it's very gothic. You've got the crime families, you get a real flavour of Gotham, and you've got Harvey Dent's storyline in there as well. So you've kind of got this massive sort of like cooking pot of all the elements that you kind of need in there. And they really did embellish that detective side of him. And for me, that's why that one always stands out. And again, it proofs in the pudding. A lot of films have taken elements of that as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
moving, you know, over the years.
And I like the fact you've chosen it because Tim Sale's artwork, and don't get me wrong, but he could be accused of being an artist's artist. He's not
Yes.
like, say, like a Greg Capullo,
Mm.
who done an amazing run on Spawn and Batman, who is that classic kind of comic book storytelling. Tim Sale, and I love his artwork, by the way. I've got tons of stuff here on Tim
Mm.
Sale.
What other runs did Tim Sale do apart from sort of like Long Halloween and like
He
sort of
done
Dark Victory?
well. What he did was kind of like he did a Daredevil. They called it Daredevil Yellow, I think. So, and that was like a year one of Daredevil. Then he done a Hulk one. He done a Spider-Man one. I think he even done a Captain America one.
He's been about the houses a bit, hasn't he? He's done a bit of everything.
Tim Sale has been a beauty, and he even for Image Comics he did a title called Death Blow, which was basically just like a Rambo
Nice.
kind of quote, but I liked it anyway. But no, I've loved Tim Sale's artwork from day one.
Mm.
He's
And
more cartoon. He's like a cartoonist. He's like a proper.
but it works for the story.
Oh, beautifully, yeah.
It works for the story, and I say it just. I like the fact. I like the idea of the holiday killer. So you know the next holiday's coming up, and you know something's going to happen. And Batman, it pits Batman at his extreme, not in terms of physicality, but in terms of I need to solve this. People are dying.
Yeah.
I've got to solve this.
And
And that's the aspect of it I like.
and each month, because obviously I bought that monthly because I'm an idiot.
How many issues? That was 13, 14 issues?
Oh, it was because it 12 issues. It was a month.
Mm.
It's a character, an issue, each cover, and I've got the cards. When I had the shop, so I had the promotional cards for each month. It had a villain a month for 12 months,
Nice.
each cover. So, like, I won't go through all the names, but that was the other series he did, Challengers of the Unknown, DC Comics. That was where Tim Sale come. Anyway, that's for the comic book geeks. I won't go there. Let's keep it to Batman. But yeah, so that's a great choice. But
Yeah.
you think that pips it because, like, for you, that pips it. Like Killing Joke is still better than that, even though that's that thin. And
Yeah.
Long Halloween is that.
Yeah. I must admit, I was struggling with which one.
Oh,
Yeah.
out of my I've struggled.
Well, and to be fair, I've gone back and forth with my top three so many times just because there's so many good stories, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm missing that one. Oh, I should talk about that.
That's it.
Like, I've got so many on.
Yeah.
I've got a list as long as my arm of honourable mentions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, all on.
Yeah. But if I was to be gun to me head, choose your top three, then that's what I've done.
Yeah. So go on, do your third one while you're in the flow.
So I kind of mixed it up with the third one. So I've gone classic Killing Joke, Long Halloween. again, sort of a classic. The third one's a bit of a more recent one. Snyder and Capullo, Court of Owls.
Nice.
Um,
So that is
that
you've made kind of like a choice of each era in a way.
yeah, yeah,
Like Killing Joke is very much 20th century, late 80s.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, for me, Court of Owls was
Probably
pretty much what.
Black Knight.
I mean, Court of Owls. I don't know if I told you. So, Court of Owls, when that first came out, I was very lucky. The volume one as a graphic novel had come out. So I remember just walking into a comic shop, and I'd been collecting Batman. I hadn't added to my collection in years. I didn't even know where half my Batman comics were. And I ran just, I'm gonna have a little stroll in here. Walked into a comic shop and saw that, and instantly the cover just drew me in straight away. It's one of those ones that just catches your eye and draws you in. And I bought it, read it, and that's what kicked off me recollecting Batman.
Nice.
So for me, I mean, if it does that straight away, it's up there. But I think it just captured my imagination. You know, you've got this, the way they tie it into the history is something new. It's not a villain that we've seen before. And for a debut for a brand new villain, oh my God. Like they weave it into the history of Gotham. They weave it into the history of the Waynes as well. And they just, this secret society that's been pulling the strings behind the scenes. And, you know, the Court of Owls, I mean, you say, oh, the bad guy's dressed as an owl. You think, oh, all right. But the way they make it so gothic. Yeah, exactly. A bat versus an owl. Okay.
Yeah.
But the way they make it so gothic and the mystery behind this organization, it's such a story that's crammed in, let's put it that way. And it felt cinematic as you read it.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Influences of cinema, that like the page turning where there's a character talking and then you turn the page and then the character's still talking, but you're on to the next scene as if it was a very, very cinematic cue.
Yeah. I mean, live action wise, I think they've only touched upon Court of Owls in Gotham, but that is a bad guy. Well, a bad group, let's say, not just a bad guy, because you've got the Talon, which is like the assassins of them. But as a collective, as a group, like this, it's almost like an Illuminati, isn't it? The mask, they've got the masks on. You don't know who they are. You just know they're very rich, very powerful. You know, they're pulling all the strings behind the scenes. Yeah, that captured my imagination, and I still stay.
It's a good run.
Yeah, it's such a good run they did, as you know, because from Snyder Capullo doing Court of Owls, they went into Death of the Family with the Joker and all that. Then they went into Endgame. They've done such a good run. They've done such a good run. And, you know, that was, I think that started in 2011. But yeah, such a good run, and that sort of jump started my sort of Batman collection again, really, because it had gone stale for years after. And I have no idea why. I mean, I had some of the classics and stuff like that, but nowhere near the amount that I've got now. And that was the one that sort of kickstarted it. So, I mean, I'll go back and read now. I think, yeah, this is average. But overall, I think in terms of impact, in terms of introducing a new villain, something that's new, something that hasn't been seen before, and just like the inspiration behind that, I think that's why that's in my top three, because I mean, I'd love to see that in live action. I'd love to see that as I mean, Patterson's. Yeah, I mean, Patterson's next Batman film. I've said it from day one. The Court of Owls need to be in that.
And I thought they was going to go there when we saw the first trailer. I mean, I know it was the Riddler that we kind of saw with them glasses.
Yeah.
But I thought this latest Patterson stuff was going to go there. I thought.
Yeah, I did.
The way they've done the Riddler, I thought he could be. I honestly thought they was going to go. Perhaps they still will, but I wouldn't blame.
Well, the good thing is with the Court of Owls is because they're pulling strings behind the curtain almost. They're hidden because they're pulling the strings. You can have a film or a story where the Court of Owls are orchestrating everything, but you're putting Batman up against known villains. So you can have one, maybe two known villains, but it's the Court of Owls orchestrating everything, the big bad in the background.
The other thing I liked about it, though, the other thing I liked about it
Because
was
I got you onto that, didn't I?
you did, yeah, and the temptation when they start explaining the Court of Owls and where they've been, and they're in Gotham and they're even underneath the floorboards, kind of stuff. The temptation to roll your eyes,
Yeah,
at the conceit of it. Oh, they've been there all the time, have they? Oh, okay, they've been there all the time. But I didn't. How it was, the pacing of the storytelling and the artwork combined enough to just take me along issue by issue, chapter by chapter. And I weren't really bothered about, oh my God, they're retrofitting this in, because I think we're at a point now, and it's not just Batman, it's a lot of these legacy characters, superhero characters, where you do need to reinvent them a little bit.
yeah.
Or not necessarily reinvent a character, just the background story, bring a new villain in. And I think it's a good choice because they really did. I was thoroughly impressed.
Mm. I remember because I remember giving them to you, thinking, I hope he fucking likes this, because I've been bigging it up for ages at the time, and then when you finally got it, and when you finally got back to me going, yeah, you liked it, I was like, okay.
It made me wonder. I was disgusted with myself that I missed it. To be fair, it's like, what?
Yeah.
I thought I missed Batman 30 years ago. I've missed him again.
What's your last one?
My last one is Year One.
Oh yeah, nice.
Obviously Frank Miller back again, David Mazzucchelli on the artwork, and again these books we're talking about, these half a dozen books we've now chosen.
Your Batman essentials.
So many, yeah. They've has been the springboard for so many when you reread them. And what I like about Year One is it's like the badass Gordon. It's like he's a bit of a badass, you know. He's got one of the undercover cops is bad and all the rest of it, and he goes round his house and beats him up and all the rest of it. And but Batman is so amateur. I think there's even a panel where he gets beaten up, one of his first missions, where he's all dressed up.
Yeah. And
he's got someone hanging off a balcony, and he's laying there because he doesn't want him to die. He goes, no, he doesn't deserve to die. He's getting a kicking up here, but he's letting someone hang off the balcony.
Yeah.
And he's taking the kicking to save this other kid. And he gets him up on the balcony. He knocks him out, and he's laying there, and he's going, oh, yeah. This is the line is something like, oh, the best start for an amateur, or something like that.
Yeah.
And the tagline in one of the issues, it was a 4-issue story, Year One. One of the taglines was something like 18 years in the waiting, 18 years in the training. And I love that gritty stuff. But that was Frank Miller again. So he'd done, like I said earlier, he'd done the hardcore Daredevil stuff. He'd done Dark Knight Returns. And now he's bringing us Year One. And the only thing I would say about all that is, like I said earlier, by the early 90s, mid-90s, this deconstruction, what Miller and Alan Moore did with Alan Moore did Killing Joke, and then he went on to do The Watchmen. Frank Miller did the Daredevil run with the hand and all that, and he did Dark Knight Returns and Year One for Batman. The deconstruction of superheroes, those two writers, for me, maxed it out. They did. And I think that's what gets under my skin now. And I know it's a whole new generation, as Pepsi Max once said. But I suppose they're deconstructing all these superheroes for the modern age. But I don't like it anymore. I like seeing them played straight. But these Batman books we're talking about, they deconstruct the character just enough. Like Killing Joke is just two men. You think about, there are no superheroics in it.
No.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I think you've had a little reread of The Killing Joke. Where is the Joker madcap and mental? I mean, I know he is all the way through, but he doesn't have any bombs and gimmicks and timers and devices.
No, just has a gun, shoots Barbara, and then
Exactly. He's got
buys
a gun
and then buys a theme park.
bang or something. Yeah,
Yeah, buys a theme park. Yeah.
that's it. Oh yeah, he poisons the owner of the theme park, and he owns
Yeah,
boss it in his hand, doesn't he?
yeah.
But it doesn't. There's no superheroics in it, and Batman essentially he's just punching him in the face a couple of times. Now that is deconstruction. When you boil that down, and you've got two men talking about it.
Yeah.
Sounds boring, but not in Alan Moore's hands.
No,
So
no way.
I think what these books are, I think out of my three, year one is when he's starting and he's an amateur and he's angry, which is in Court of Owls. I liked. It wasn't quite year one, but it was an angry Bruce Wayne, and he had the cropped hair, didn't he?
Yeah, the crew cut. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that, and he was like angry at Alfred. You know, he treated him like a piece of shit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because he's young and arrogant. You know, I love the way they've done that. Those little details. He's going to be arrogant with all the dough and the gadgets and the fitness and everything. And I'm Batman. That arrogance is going to come through, but he took it all out on Alfred. I like that aspect of what they've done in the Court of Owls kind of run. But that's as much deconstruction as I ever want to see. And I know we're going to get.
No, I get that.
I know we're
get
going to
that.
get around to it in a bit.
Just quickly, honourable mention. If you was to pick one more, just an honourable mention. So I've just thought of two really. Man Who Laughs, which is like a reimagining of the first interaction with Batman and Joker.
Oh, was it?
Right. Yeah, I like that one. That's a really good one. And I've got to say, Death in the Family, the old school one.
Was the one. Yeah, that was the one that kind of put him on the map as well.
Yeah, Death in the Family. I mean, there's a more recent
early 90s, mid 90s.
I don't even know, mate. To be honest, I mean, I've got it, but it's you've got Death of the Family and Death in the Family. So Death of the Family was Snyder Capullo in the most sort of like in the recent sort of run. I say recent, it was God knows how many years ago now. But Death in the Family with old Joker and the Crowbar, mate. Yeah, that's an honourable mention.
Yeah.
Have you got any or
Hush?
Oh yes. Yeah, I can't believe I just forgot about that.
Yeah, Hush. That was just another modern, almost like a cinematic run again, like how the influences combine, which works really well. So we've got a cinematic in that run you're talking about. I couldn't help but read it, if this makes sense. I couldn't help but read it cinematically, or as if you were a bit like not Dark Victory, Long Halloween, or both. You read it now, and when you reread it, it's like you're binging a Netflix series.
Yes, yeah, you just want to go on to the next.
They've got that pacing, and they've got that within each issue stroke chapter. They've got that beginning, middle, end, and you think, oh my god, and they leave you on a cliffhanger, and you think, oh no, I want to read the next issue now. I've got to find out. Some superb. But before we move on, what a beautiful creation the character was.
Yeah, big time.
And I know we're not going to get into the origins of it, with Bob Kane and Bill Finger and Bob Kane, but let's just salute them quickly for coming up with the essence of the character. Like what a beautiful character.
There's just a lot of meat on the bone, isn't there? You can do so much stuff with it.
That teams of creators can come after you. And I don't know, I think I mentioned to you a while ago about someone who said that the beauty of the best characters is that teams can come along after you and keep bringing you a new story.
Yeah, definitely.
Batman, whether it's graphic novel, TV, because I think TV has done some good stuff, which we will talk about, but particularly film, for the mainstream film, how these groups of creators can come along, and we're still just talking about one man,
Yeah.
one character. We are still talking about that one, you know.
Well, I mean, how many with DC now? I mean, I've always collected the main Batman. I've got some detective comics. I've got some Batman, Superman. But I mean, you've got All Stars, Batman and Robin, Dark Knight. How many titles are there now for DC?
Oh, do you know what? It's a bit embarrassing for DC at the moment, because I think at one point over half of their output was Batman.
That's mad, isn't it?
But don't get me wrong. Just quickly, look. No. So look, just off the top of my pile, the Brave and the Bold I showed you earlier.
Yeah, that's a beautiful cover.
And they are all short stories. That is really, and they're really nice. They're doing a nice job. One thing I will say, DC, all right, you could accuse them of saturation, but I've got to admit, there isn't one here that I'm not enjoying. Look, World's Finest, obviously with Superman and everyone else, World's Finest, but it's still a Bat book. He's still in it.
Yeah. Well, he's still in all the Justice Leagues, isn't he?
And that is like obviously Batman Beyond. So that's the future Batman. But again, I'm just really enjoying the story. A lot of people are moaning about, oh, the new one, this is out this week, look, hot off the press. Look what they're doing.
Nice.
But it's Night Terrors. So I don't know where this storyline's going, by the way.
That's a beautiful cover.
Yeah, they are doing a really nice. So the book is this one, Night Terrors, First Blood. So that's all the characters. Yeah. This Night Terrors is going across all of them. But again, the origin, we're still like, what was the first issue of Batman or his origin story? Like, but they're still going back. They're still mining that story.
Yeah, 100%. There's so much there.
So there's something to be said for that.
There's so much there. And like I say, I mean, I like some of, I mean, the Batman Who Laughs is a prime example of just an Elseworlds one shot almost, of just a wacky idea riffing off Batman. I mean, the Batman Who Laughs is literally a Joker version of Batman.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. It's just, there's so much stuff you can do with that.
Elseworlds.
Yeah, there's so much stuff. And it's like some of the more later stuff. Like there's a 2-parter in graphic novel format, City of Bane, and how they portray Bane in that is wicked, mate. It's very, very good. It's very in depth. Basically, Bane takes over Gotham. It's basically, yeah, it's nice how they do it, mate. Very nice.
So I think that's exhausted the comic book.
I wouldn't say exhausted. We could talk about that, just that for 3 hours, to be fair, but we've got to be restrained.
Yeah, we could. Well, yeah. Really, don't get me started. You don't want to turn around and start going through the boxes, dear.
The longest podcast
ever. As was going on, I was thinking about the death metal storyline.
Oh, that was good.
And I've got the variant covers in the bottom. I thought, I was just literally thinking as you were talking, I thought, oh, should I hold the covers up to the screen and really geek out? But no.
Yeah, they done a Capullo and Snyder done a one shot. I think you read it actually, The Last Night on Earth.
Yes,
that was a good one. I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
and do you know what? I think there's something to be said. Don't get me wrong. I like a continued run, like the Snyder Capullo run. I like that continued run. They kind of, even though it was a different team that came in, they continued off of that sort of jumping on point. They continued that when they rebooted it with Rebirth. But there's something to be said just for a one-off, like a one-shot.
Oh, without a doubt.
There's something to be said for that. Get in, tell your story, fuck off.
In and out. That's it.
Yeah. And I'm kind of leaning towards that now. I'm trying to find some more one shots to go back into because trying to keep up with it all, mate, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
they almost shoot themselves in the foot in a way. I think
yeah,
something like Year One or
yeah,
Dark Knight Returns,
straight away.
Killing Joke, just will be in print. That will be in print for years and years and years to come. Batman Year One is just that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Dark Knight Returns, Year One and the end.
yeah, it's
They're
crazy.
just going to be
But
forever, and you don't need to have a multi, but even a story in between, even Long Halloween,
yeah,
another one. It's your choice. Your is it your first or second choice?
second choice.
That's going to be in print forever. It's there. It's a story with
Mm.
Batman, and I think do they not weave the origin in that or not?
So Long Halloween follows
Just
so Long Halloween follows the continuity of Year One.
no, but they don't repeat Batman's origin in.
No. But it follows the continuity of Year One. So if you was to read Year One, you can go straight into Long Halloween, and then from that straight into Dark Victory.
Oh, I didn't realise that actually.
Yeah, you can go straight from that one to the other. And actually, if you put in The Man Who Laughs in between Year One and Long Halloween, everything just flows really nicely.
Does he laugh like this? Ha 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 ha.
No, not at all.
He laughs more like Mark Hamill.
Yeah. It's very good. It's very, very good.
So, from the comic stuff,
Mm.
where to next, Liz? Where to next? I
Are we
think
going to go TV or are we going to go big film?
no. Let's go to the meat.
The
Come on,
meat.
let's chew off the meat now. We've nibbled around the edges. Let's chew on the meat. It's the cinematic stuff, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
film Batman. Now, leading on, let's try and do it logically for a change on a geekyOlhog hogCAST special.
That's never happened before.
It's never happened before. I don't know. Hold on.
You've grown.
Let me have a few
You've
more.
grown.
Get back to normal. Normal viewing will resume. I'll tell you what. So cinema. But for me, leading on the natural progression for me, leading on from everything we've spoken about, is who is your Batman?
Who's my Batman? Oh,
Cinema. Really, that's the main one, isn't it? We're talking about.
yeah.
But
I'll say it now.
go on.
There's no perfect Batman movie. There's movies that I've enjoyed, but they're all missing an element, if that makes sense, of what makes Batman a whole. So with Tim Burton, he goes gothic.
Yeah.
But there's a dark, even though it's gothic, it's missing something. I can't quite put my finger on what that Tim Burton Batman's missing. Then you go, through the ages, Batman and Robin, that was just over the top craziness on that Joel Schumer film. It was rubbish. But then you go into Nolan, where it's big and blockbuster and it's very grounded.
Do you know what? You beat me to that word.
And Gotham doesn't look like Gotham.
It looks like Chicago or New York or Philadelphia.
Yeah. So I'll say it from the start. There is no perfect Batman movie, but the Batman for me that sticks out, and unfortunately, it's the Batman that's been done the worst in a way with how Warner Brothers and DC have handled it, is Ben Affleck. For me,
Controversial.
He's comic book accurate. I wish they captured him when he was a bit younger, so he could have his own Batman trilogy, because I think he would have absolutely smashed it.
Like when he was doing Daredevil with old.
Well, yeah, that sort of era. I mean, if he was as hench as he was in Batman versus Superman back then when he was younger, when he was doing Daredevil, he would have portrayed the perfect Batman. And I won't just say perfect Batman, perfect Bruce Wayne.
It would have been a gorgeous Bruce Wayne, darling.
He would have been. He would have been. But in terms of capturing the character, he can be that mean, moody,
Yeah.
like dark character. But in terms of
great.
but what makes Batman, anyone can suit up and wear that costume and look vaguely comic book accurate.
Well, then it's over to the stuntman.
It's over to the stuntman, yeah. But it's the Bruce Wayne.
We're talking about the Bruce Wayne, aren't we? This is,
Yeah.
and I know we've had endless arguments or stroke debates over this, all of this, and jokers and everything. But the stuntman is Batman. The stuntman is gonna, he puts on his armor. You could be skinny little kid. You could be Peter Parker. Armor, and then oof, you're Batman. Swoop. There I go. I've got my wings or everything. I've got my utility belt.
Yeah.
There we go. So,
but for me, it's frustrating because
really,
I can see I can see the frustration.
It's controversial.
It is controversial, but for me, I'm very frustrated with it because he is the Batman I would choose. He looks comic book accurate. He can do it. He's a good actor, and he can portray the sort of the suave Bruce Wayne in these big parties and these functions. But he's also got that mean, gritty side to him. But he's never had his own bloody film.
No,
and that is the clincher. I mean, can you really count? Well, my question to you is, I'm saying that, but can I really count him? He's never had his own film.
No, I think you can count him. You can. You ask someone a question, and this is like what I say all the time on my videos and some of the comments I get, and no one's life's at stake. We're all talking make believe. That's what's a bit about fandom. When you're a fan, who's the best?
And he did capture the old Batman very nicely in Batman versus Superman.
In Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you for a moment.
Okay.
That he's the best Batman. I'm going to agree with you because I do like that end of. Look, my number one graphic novel is The End of Days. It's a Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And Dawn of Justice was a kind of half interpretation of that. I think that was allowing Zack Snyder to do as much as they was going to let him do.
Yeah.
Like he did Watchmen when he got and he just filmed panel by panel. I reckon he had Dark Knight Returns and he thought, I'm going to film this. I'm going to film it. And I was going, Zach, no. And I was burning each issue and saying, no, you can't do it. And
it makes me angry now.
But
it makes me angry now. The amount of potential they had, not just with Batman, but with like Cavill and all that lot, and how much they screwed it.
Yeah.
You had the best actors that had potentially some of the worst movies, and don't get me wrong, I am a fan of the Snyderverse, but there's a lot of issues with it. I am a fan of it, but there was issues.
A lot of the stick that Snyder, especially Dawn of Justice, we were getting right. What was happening was we was sucking on the teat of pure MCU.
Yes,
I thought because I've been thinking about this for a while. We have been
contemplating with a cigar and a whiskey.
And it was a sweet, sweet tea. Don't get me for a long while. All the way up to Endgame. We were sucking and sucking, and it was always sweet, wasn't it? The juice we got. But Snyder gave us Cavill's Superman, which wasn't an equivalent of. It wasn't an Iron Man. It wasn't a Captain America. It was this kind of god amongst humans, which do you know what? I love that take. I don't know about Batman, but I love this take because that's what some of the best Superman graphic novels did. He's a god, and that's what in Dark Knight Returns. That's what Batman's doing. He's going, no, Superman, no, I've got a kryptonite fucking axe, and I've got a kryptonite this, and whatever it is, and I'm going to do you in because that's his mission. He's grumpy and he's failed at Gotham and it's all kicking off.
Imagine if,
Enough about
imagine if, though, just the last thing I'll say, and it is a fantasy in a way, but imagine if they got Affleck, and Affleck was the one playing Batman in Nolan's trilogy, and the aesthetics of Nolan's trilogy was more like Gotham or the
it's
latest
proper
Batman.
fanboy now, yeah. It's
Proper fanboy.
yeah.
But because no, don't get me wrong, I love the Nolan films. I love the Nolan films, mate. But Bale for me is not the best Batman by far. And Nolan done a great job, but all he had to do was make Gotham look like Gotham. And he didn't do it.
Yeah, but
And I get the
grounding it.
yeah, and I get that aspect of it, but you could have easily had exactly the same story, but with the aesthetics of a gothic Gotham.
Yeah, I'm agree. Yeah, do you know what? The mixture of the three would be the perfect brew.
Mm,
Would definitely.
yeah,
Not put Ledger's Joker into Burton's Gotham.
yeah,
Replace Nicholson's Joker with Ledger. Oh yes,
yeah.
day long, and get Affleck in there going, no, you can smash it. Yeah, but I did love Affleck's. The thing is, it's the end of the line. I think the easiest ones to do are the end of the line or the beginning of the journey.
Mm.
So where old Mr. Patterson is doing the beginning of it,
Mm.
for me, he just about got away with it. There's nothing wrong with
the best decision they did with Patterson's portrayal
yeah.
is to keep him in that bat suit as much as possible.
And why they decided to do one for the ladies. There was one shot in that film, wasn't there?
Yeah,
where they had his kit off, and he just looked like, well,
he didn't look like Batman, did he?
40-year boy.
But again,
Like,
why
do that? Show me that.
But going back to Snyder Capullo, a young Batman should be crew cut. He's on a mission, and he should be hench as hell.
God, yeah, should be.
Do you know what I mean? He should be that.
That's when you want to see him hench.
Yeah,
He's training. He's working out. It's
an obsession.
Year one, yeah, that's where you want to see him. He's all vim and vigor, but he hasn't got an idea. That's where Alfred comes along and says, hold on, calm down, hone your abilities, train yourself, and a bit. And they went there in Gotham, the TV series, which we won't talk about just yet.
Yeah,
let's keep to the film bit. But Affleck's, I'm going to agree with you, but then disagree with you, because you're saying that's your ideal cinematic Batman.
Ideal cinematic Batman if he was given his own film.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I disagree. I'm not going to. Yeah. It is quite a controversial choice, but I've got to admit,
it's a controversial one because no one's ever given him the chance.
And it is only Dawn of Justice where, even running into at the beginning of the film was running into the dust cloud, and it was very, I suppose for a worldwide audience, but particularly maybe for an American audience, the dust that was created from the 9/11 and all that.
Yeah,
he's running into danger,
and
when he looks up, and that hatred he's got for Superman, like he's done this.
Yeah,
that Batman is an alien that's got to be stopped, and he's done nothing. He's not quite done anything yet to prove himself. I love that aspect of it.
Yeah, it was spot on.
Like I was saying a bit earlier,
and the warehouse scene.
We were high on MCU.
Yes,
come along, and when I say we, I'm not talking about me and you. I'm talking about a cinematic audience collectively. And do you know what? I don't think anyone was ready.
No.
To see it almost in the same way as we're talking about the comics deconstructed. In a way, Snyder was deconstructing them, not too far,
Well, the problem is though, even so, if you watched Man of Steel straight into Batman versus Superman, straight into Zack Snyder's version of Justice League, that is a trilogy. The films flow one to the other all the way through. But their biggest mistake was, instead of just releasing a Batman movie, they went straight from Man of Steel straight into
that's the shame of it. Yeah, you're
and,
right.
and they just tried to rush it,
They've
rush
done
it,
Wonder
rush it.
Woman, didn't they? They've done a Wonder Woman and Aquaman, but they was
Well, no, at that point they had just done Man of Steel,
yeah,
Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, Wonder Woman: Suicide Squad, straight into Whedon's Justice League. Aquaman came out after.
yeah.
So really, I mean,
Much
take Wonder Woman out of the equation in terms of the solo Wonder Woman film. Suicide Squad's got nothing to do with it anyway. It's just those three. So, you know, like where the MCU allowed time for their characters to grow, it was that rush. It was bloody Marvel are doing this. We need to catch up. We need to get our Justice League movie out. What's the minimum we can do? Oh, Zach, do 2 films for us, then we'll go straight into it. That's literally what it was, and that's why it kind of fell down. And I just wish in some sort of alternate reality, in some sort of multiverse, there was.
No, you don't longer edit that word out.
I just wish you had Ben Affleck taking up the mantle of Batman much earlier, doing his own trilogy, then going into Batman versus Superman, etc., etc.
That is wishful thinking. No, I
mean, it's very, very wishful, but it's still it's what I would have liked to have seen that never happened. But I think for me, yeah, I think it's the potential for me. When you look at an actor and you think, bloody hell, you're encompassing that character. Ben Affleck did that.
Yeah.
Much more than Christian Bale. Way more than Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Because he was not a strong Batman.
And I think that the physique of it, and the temperament, I think everything. And again, it's back to Dawn of Justice. I love the dynamic between him, Clark Kent, and I'm talking about Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent, and Wonder Woman, Diana,
yes,
whatever her name is, Diana Prince, is it?
Yeah.
All their scenes, I think, were pitched so nicely.
Yeah, they were.
Each one of them. When he's down in the, she's down in the what's it, or he's down in the, he realizes she's nicking the stuff, and or the other way around, and she's all glammed up, and Lex Luthor's introducing the two of them, and you can see that Zach's playing with them.
Yeah,
he's playing with the characters. He's got them.
That's such an underrated movie, though, man.
He's got Yeah, I do. I agree with you. He's got Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and he's having fun with these characters.
Yeah, such an underrated movie because
we accuse Warner Brothers of going, which I don't blame them for. They saw that MCU was going down Quiptastic alley, so let's not do that. Let's go for another route. But I kind of loved them for that. So yeah, I'm going to agree with you up to a point with Affleck.
And I just want to highlight one thing before you move on.
Go on.
The nightmare sequences in Batman vs Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah,
they're a highlight for me.
Yeah,
those nightmare sequences, and I know because we when Zack Snyder's Justice League finally got made, you and me sat down and watched it together, didn't we?
Yeah.
No, I remember sitting down, and I liked how they broke it up into chapters.
Yeah, so we could pause it and get another drink.
Yeah, pretty much. Go for a piss, get a drink.
No, not get another drink, get more popcorn.
But the nightmare sequences in that, especially at the end, for me, was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, including the little Joker nightmare scene, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. Don't start. And actually sitting down watching that and watching Snyder's Justice League is what sparked the debate.
It was actually, yeah.
That's what sparked the debate. End up rowing at what, 4 o'clock in the morning? Awesome. So go on then, hit me. What's your one?
No, I'm going to have to say Keaton.
I knew you was going to go for that.
Yeah, I'm going to say it because, and I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why.
What's your examples? Why?
They are the two Batman films. Yeah. So Batman and Batman Returns. Yeah. All right. I know Michelle Pfeiffer's in the second one in skin tight latex. But apart from that, those two films are the two Batman films I can watch again and again. Not the Nolan ones. They are well long, and every now and again, but it'll probably be every 8 years, I will watch the second one. I won't watch the first one with Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul and all that. I might watch the second one with Heath Ledger, and do you know what? I will probably fast forward a bit of it. I'm only being honest. I'm only being honest. I'm not. They were. Each generation of these films, Liz, were of the moment. And those first two Burton films were really early 90s, like late 80s, early 90s. They was of the moment. A modern audience now might look at them and go, oh, practical effects. Oh, where's the CGI? Oh, that's stupid. Look at the Joker. He's silly. That's what the Joker's supposed to be.
Do you know what? I agree with you in terms of...
And so the Nolan ones,
yeah,
are in and of the time, in and of the moment, etc., etc. But what I've had to do for this discussion is think about what are the ones that, and it might be I was at the age, so I would have been 22 when the first Keaton Batman came out, the first Tim Burton, and I love Tim Burton as a director. He's gothic anyway, and I think that was a perfect match.
It was, yeah, it was a perfect match of styles, and it was perfect for introducing Batman to the masses, really.
Yeah, because don't forget, before that, Liz, all you had was the Batman TV show.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the weird thing is, I know I came to it late to the party, but due to being born at a certain time, but that was apart from the animated.
Don't you mean hatched?
Yeah, hatched. Yeah. But apart from the animated, like I said earlier, the 89 Returns and Forever was still the first three Batman films I ever watched, and I watched them prior to Batman and Robin in 97. So that's still a very early memory. And I think when you get a first film that does so well, it's like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, it's like Christopher Reeve's Superman. When you get that first, that is always going to be the pinnacle. That first interaction, or that first sort of insight into that character that you see, I think that would always be your pinnacle. And I think that's why Keaton's Batman is so regarded. He was the first in cinema to do it.
He was the first, but also
but it's the first. Not only is he the first one to do it, the fact that film did so well.
Yeah, it was the biggest thing.
Which is why it's the pinnacle. Because everything since then has been trying to match that, or trying to do that, or redo that in a way, because that film was the pinnacle. And ever since then, it's always the competitor. It's always, you've got to try and outdo that.
And it's the old-fashioned element of it that I like. The old-fashioned element of the Superman film you mentioned, the original, the Christopher Reeve, Lois Lane, Clark Kent, what's his name, who runs the Daily Planet, and the photographer, etc., the heart of it. And in that original Batman film, the Vicky Vale, Batman, Alfred, all perfectly pitched within this gothic. And again,
and you go on to Batman Returns, where you got
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Do you remember? So Batman Returns, I was doing a little bit of research over the last week since we said we was actually going to finally sit down and do it.
Yeah.
And Batman Returns, did you know beforehand? They were getting all the merchandise out, because when Batman 89 came out, they end up making so much more in merchandise than the actual film did.
Like Star Wars.
So,
It was mental.
right, so waiting for Batman Returns to come out, they started getting the merchandise. They started getting out all the merchandise early, right? And for Batman Returns, Tim Burton went darker. He got given a bit more reign of it, and he went darker. And McDonald's, prior to the release, they literally remarketed their restaurant, so it was like a Gotham restaurant and stuff like that. Do you remember all this? I only found it out through the research, right? So they remarketed and rebranded, so it was like a Gotham sort of vibe to it. And all the Happy Meals had Gotham toys and all that. The film comes out, you've got Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman getting thrown out of a bloody window, basically getting murdered. You've got the Penguin biting someone's nose off and all that sort of stuff. McDonald's went mental, apparently. Tim Burton.
And apparently the mums, there was something like some women's institute in America of mums that was saying, oh, my little Tarquin's been scared. The second film.
Yeah.
So Tim Burton, like you just said, was allowed off the leash, and he kind of did go very, very Burton with the second one, which is
massively.
Oh, and I do. And again, I loved it. Christopher Walken and all that. Oh, I love it. Love it.
Well, but that's the thing. So for me,
in the first film, you got Christopher Walken and Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito in the second one. Hello, but what the mums of America were saying was, my little Tarquin is shit scared of buying his Happy Meal now. He doesn't want Happy Meal. He's scared. He don't want to get out of the car. This is before drive-throughs. Yeah. He don't want to get out of the car to come and get his Happy Meal because he's scared of the little toys.
Well, I was
of it.
Did you know on
bird shitter?
Did you know that? So again, doing my research. So Jack Nicholson was very hesitant about doing the Joker.
Yes.
Do you know how they got him?
By giving him a percentage, and he become the most richest person.
On top of that, before that.
Oh no.
So when he was hesitant, they went, do you know what? We'll dangle the role in front of Robin Williams. Tell Jack Nicholson we're doing that.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, tell Jack Nicholson we're doing that.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Would have had a Robin Williams Joker.
Yeah. I know.
Wow.
They dangled it in front of him. So Robin Williams didn't know this. Obviously, he's gone for it. Then realised he lost out to Jack Nicholson. There's an interview with him saying, you know, sometimes they do this. They just dangle it in front of you. But he said, who knows? Maybe one day I'll get to play the Riddler. Right? So the way Batman Returns went down, it put Warner Bros in a position where they were like, hang on a minute, this isn't going too well with marketing, kids can't see this, etc., etc. So we need to lighten the tone. They basically said they didn't want Burton anymore. Keaton wouldn't do it unless Burton was doing it, hence why we got Val Kilmer. So, and that's how we end up with Batman Forever. But if it was Tim Burton's Batman, he was going to have the Riddler, and it would have been Robin Williams.
Wow.
Which would have been...
But don't you love all that? Don't you love the fact that Keaton said, bearing in mind that first Batman film was the biggest film ever.
Biggest film of that year, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, and beyond. Merchandising and all that. It was the biggest film. It was on a par with Star Wars for scale.
Well, Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman was signed on to a Batman 3 as well. We could have seen that again. But this is the thing, though. I watched that when I was, 7?
Yeah.
And I was totally fine with it all.
Did you have feelings and urges?
Yes.
Even as a young lizard, even as a young reptilian, you knew there was something about that.
My tail was on point.
Oh, you shed some scales that night. Oh my God. We don't go there, Liz. We're going to keep this clean from that, man.
Keep it clean. So still Keaton, though. So
for me, my reason for not disagreeing with your choice of Affleck. Love it. But you know, your best one. What's your best one? Well, it's gonna be the one that I want to keep watching again and again. And I've watched those first two films now. Yes, it could be a generational thing. It could be.
I don't say it's a generational thing though, because
No,
just
it could be
projecting very quickly.
it could be the one I grew up with, but
Now, don't get me wrong.
I'm
If
say about the Nolans, the Nolan ones, not the Nolan sisters, the Nolan films, is they are so long for man. When was the last time you sat down and thought, I'm going to put that first Batman film on by Christopher Nolan?
yeah, see, this is what I was about to say. And weirdly, if you was to tell me
It weren't great.
there's enough, I have to be proper in the mood to watch Nolan's Batman, like Batman
No, I have
trilogy.
rewatched them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not.
Yeah, and I have, and I remember going to see Dark Knight. That was 2008. So that was my 18th birthday. I remember going to see it on my 18th birthday.
They are well too long.
Yeah, and this is the thing. They are great movies, but they're not fun movies. They're great movies to get into and to watch, and to especially like Dark Knight with like Heath Ledger's Joker. You just captivate every time he comes on the bloody screen. But in terms of fun, in terms of fun, if I was to say, right, tonight I've got a couple of hours. I just want a nice fun movie I can turn off to. I fancy a bit of Batman. I'd be going straight back to those two, 89 and Returns. They're the ones I'd go to. Even being of a different generation, they're the ones I'd go back to because they are fun. Whereas the Nolan ones are so serious.
And the thing I liked about Keaton's Batman is that he was eccentric.
Yes.
And I know that the Bruce Wayne, you know, if we're going to boil it down, the Bruce Wayne that he shows the world has to be an eccentric. He has to be something, doesn't he? And I know that Christopher Bale done that quite well. Christian Bale done that quite well with the billionaire kind of in the pond with the girls and all that in one of the films.
Yeah.
And what's the name is saying, "Oh, you're having a good time," and he likes her, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And, you know. Anyway, but with Keaton's portrayal, there's something about what he and Tim Burton both did to create the nutter. Like, you want nuts? Let's go nuts. And when Vicky Vale comes to the Wayne Mansion and she's right at the other end of the table, but there's a humanity there where he says, "I've never been in this room." Like they're supposed to be having dinner, him and Kim Basinger, and he goes, "I don't think I've ever been in this room." And
you know what? I even think
by the fire, and then
I even think, as much as I love the Alfred of like Michael Keaton's Alfred, that original Alfred, I don't know the actor's name, but I think that Alfred from the '89 Batman works so well with Keaton, and Alfred is the heart of it in a way. Alfred is, you have to have a strong Alfred to make you Bruce Wayne.
But you know what? I did like Jeremy Irons.
Yes, I did.
And especially that line where he says like about cruel, about turning men cruel.
Yeah.
Where he's literally lecturing. He's not lecturing Bruce Wayne, but he is.
Yeah.
And he's talking about his decisions that you make in life. And he says it turns good men cruel. Something.
Yeah. I must admit, that's one of the things I loved about Nolan's one with Kane.
And one of the best fight scenes for Batman when he goes into that warehouse.
Yeah.
He's guiding the boss and he just gets.
I'll drop you off on the second floor.
And he's got all the tech and he goes, "Yeah, I'll drop it." And you just see him going in and the music and yes.
Yeah.
And Affleck, again, like you say, and I know why it's your first choice, because he goes in and again, I know it's a stuntman, but it's been built up to that point.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you see Affleck, even in his shirt and that, he's just like that, isn't he?
Yeah.
You can believe, but it's, a shame we didn't get him in his own film.
Yes, definitely. I just want to do a little honourable mention because we're talking about Alfred. Michael Caine in Dark Knight Rises. It gets missed a lot. So at the beginning of Dark Knight Rises, Bruce Wayne is injured, he's old, he's been out the game for a while, and he always, you can see how Alfred thinks about him. So Michael Caine does this little speech at the beginning, goes, "I always imagined one day you go away and you get rid of this life. You end up being happy." And he
Yeah.
tells him all the stuff that he
Oh,
wants him to
sitting
do.
in the calf and all that.
Yeah, yeah, sit in the calf, and he'll go, "We don't even have to talk. I'll just look up, and there you are, having a drink, and we just look at each other, and I know that you're okay." And
Yeah,
then at the end, do you know what? For me, that really captured Alfred. Is that he sees him as a son.
really. You think I thought that was well over the top and too
No, I like that. I like that.
that
I
was
thought,
really soap opera American. I did
no, I liked it.
oh, I hated it.
Really, I like that.
Oh, I did.
I like that side of him.
And he's got the newspaper. And he goes, "Oh, hello," and he's across the cafe. He's across the cafe from him and what's her name? And they're both
Halfway.
ooh, and they're going, "Hello," over their croissants. I think
Fucking prick. No, I
no.
like that bit, man.
You can stick your croissant.
Talking of other Alfreds, though, the Gotham Alfred, we'll go on to that later. I like that Gotham Alfred.
Oh, what was his name?
I
English,
don't know. I don't know what the actor's name is, but
English geezer who kind of tries talking like
I
that.
kind of think that's why I liked him. It was quite funny.
It's like I was in the army in the Second World War, and I've been about an eye.
No, the Alfred in the '89 one though was awesome. I liked him.
That was that superb casting, but that is what you call classic cinema.
Yeah,
Nowadays, well, what I call classic cinema, because you had great casting, you had no CGI.
mm,
You think it all had to be done in house. There is something about that is visceral
mm.
about. I know it's on the screen, and you might be thinking that is still a special effect. I don't care how old you are. There are certain films you watch and you'll go, "That's a plastic robot miniature model." Like you're watching a Terminator, and at the beginning of it, and there's all these little model Terminators going pew 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 pew. You know they're models, but you're in.
Yeah, you're in it.
You're in the
Yeah.
future war.
Okay, so
You
Burton '89 or Burton Batman Returns?
what as my favourite film?
Yeah, favorite Batman film.
No, yeah, I think I've got. I must go with the original.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I'm torn. The
because
films are very even for me.
Nicholson
Yeah,
Joker.
yeah. But then Returns, you got Pfeiffer's Catwoman.
Yeah, stop reminding me about her latex skin tight suit, man. Do that.
Now, if they were in the same film, oh god, oh yeah, yeah. Nicholson's Joker is an
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, so let's talk about. I know where you're going with this, Liz. I see where you're directing me, and I like it. But what we're going to get into is a fundamental now of Batman, whether we're talking about the comics, TV, film. And for me, it's exceptionalism.
Yes.
It's superheroics, but it's not quite that, because he's not a mutant. He hasn't been bitten by anything.
He hasn't got the powers of a bat.
No, but what he has done. He's trained himself, and he's mental. He's got a
Yeah.
mission, and he's committed, and he's mental. But the best stories that we have spoken about up till now, the best stories in the comics and in TV and in the film, all the films we talk about, I think the best versions of this character is when he is an exceptional man. And you know where I'm going with this, and you know that word that I hate the most is grounded.
Yeah.
And that's where I think when you ground everything, and when you ground it, then he, like in the latest Mrs. Patterson film, I did enjoy it, But if that gets any more grounded,
Mm,
all we've got is a detective in a
mm.
funny costume.
I mean, Patterson,
Have something. He's got to have.
it went as far as you can go in terms of grounding it. And I will say that the opening to the Batman, Patterson's Batman, is probably the best opening of any Batman film. When he's got that monologue and he's talking about the fear when that symbol hits the sky.
And did you realise that that came straight from the animated?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am,
yeah,
I am Batman.
yeah. And then
Like
uh,
30 years
and
later.
and Long Halloween, October 31st, Halloween starts off with a murder,
Nice
and
one.
then it goes straight into that
Yeah.
sort of opening the monologue.
Yeah.
So for me, that is the best opening, and it's the film that has. And I'm a fan of the film. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
There's a
So,
lot of issues. There's a lot of issues with it. Is it the perfect Batman film? No, not by a long shot. Um, his Bruce Wayne was very weak. His Batman was good. The end half hour was an absolute mess, and it didn't make sense either. But it's the first Batman film that's really captured that detective side,
yeah.
and it had a good aesthetic to Gotham. I liked how they portrayed Gotham, the aesthetics of Gotham.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I liked it was the younger Batman as well. Take those elements, and again, this is what I want to see moving forwards. If with the Batman 2, because they are going to do it once all this writer strike and all this sort of stuff goes. With the Batman 2, they've got to do Court of Owls, in my opinion. They have
I
to.
love that. Yeah.
They have to.
Yeah.
But we need to see him become Bruce Wayne.
It'd be
We need to. I liked how they flipped it. Of actually, his persona is Bruce Wayne. He's Batman. He's this moody, vengeful person, but his persona that he's trying to put to the world is Bruce Wayne. And I kind of felt like that's the direction they were going with this. So it's almost like in the second one, he needs to build that Bruce Wayne
that'd be
playboy persona, which is what I'm hoping they are going to do. Um, I've got a feeling, I don't know why, I've got a feeling because of how that one ended, I don't think they can introduce any new characters in terms of we're going to get Court of Owls or anything like that. I think we're going to see Mr. Freeze for some reason. I don't know why.
really.
I keep thinking it. I've just got that feeling, that gut feeling we're going to see Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, I hope not. I'm
Yeah.
kind of banking on the Court of Owls.
Yeah, I am.
I mean, you look at and listen. I love June Carey, but June Carey as a Riddler was manic.
Well,
But
Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face wasn't great.
no, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you what was a good Riddler, and let's talk about it. Is Gotham and all those young, and I know that's quite a jump, right? I know it's quite a jump, but I think we've kind of gone through Burton, the Nolan, and the modern. Um, but do you know what? I think, and I think you agree, that not enough people talk about Gotham
No, they don't.
TV show because it had a shaky start, but
Yeah, and I think it had a shaky start because your main character of Gordon is your weakest actor.
yeah, yeah, and but a lot of the time, TV shows do have a shaky start because they're finding their
Mm.
feet. But you give it, you kind of like this one, you like that actor, you like that. But I tell you what an ensemble of young actors
Yeah,
that were nailing the roles. That were
yeah, 100%.
young, and the way they weaved it into the narrative of basically before he was Batman, all these characters were there.
Yeah.
And they was all growing up together. It was like Gotham
What do you
High.
think?
Like
Yeah.
it was like
What do you
Gotham
think
Hills
of?
90210.
Well, the Scarecrow,
I thought
the
it was
scare,
good. Yeah.
like the young Scarecrow, the young would-be Joker, was pretty good. That actor was pretty good.
That was
Um,
he was a good actor, but that was the worst bit.
yeah.
When they got to that, I thought
Riddler and Penguin were the two.
pick up that young actress,
Yeah,
Penguin, the guy who plays Penguin, the actress who plays Selena Kyle,
yeah,
for me, and then like you said earlier on, Alfred, the
yeah,
geezer who
yeah.
plays Alfred, yeah. I think you should buy Selena some flowers. Yeah, it's her birthday next week.
I just loved his sarcasm, though. He was brilliant with his
Yeah,
sarcasm.
no, he
Really
was. Yeah,
brilliant.
it's like, and when he decides to be Batman, and we all know, and that's the bit I was really enjoying because in one of the later series, it was like, oh, Bruce Wayne's going, right, yeah, I'm going to start training. And he's going, well, yeah, I was in the army, Alfred. I was in the army. He's going, oh, I'm going to train you. But even more cockney when he was going, right, I'm going to train you. And it was all fisticuffs. Oh, but
Quality.
again, the design, production, and it was it not Danny, what's his name? Danny, very well known director. But he did he directed the early episodes, or he was one of the exec producers.
Danny Boyle.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
but like the production design on it and Gotham,
Oh,
and
beautiful. It's
a lot
beautiful.
of it takes place in either Wayne Manor or
But you believe it's Gotham.
what's
You
that?
believe it's Gotham. That's the clincher for me.
It had a kind of a feel to it that, and as the series wore on, I don't know, I enjoyed it more up to a point. I think series 3 or 4, I think,
It is that Mad Hatter episode, man.
yeah.
That's still the standout for me. That Mad Hatter episode where he's got him around the table. Oh yes.
And
I can't
again,
remember what season that is, to be fair.
maybe 3 or 4, I think. But
And they do Court of Owls as well in Gotham,
yes, but
which I thoroughly enjoyed.
we're talking about again, we're talking about the beginning and the ending of this character.
Mm.
And that's where the best stories are. I think that middle ground, I don't know where you can, and I'm lauding Keaton as Batman, but I don't know. That's right in the middle, isn't it? That's not at the,
Yeah,
or the beginning. So,
yeah, he's already established. He's not an old Batman.
so as much as I'm saying, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head now, I'm thinking about, oh yeah, Affleck as end of day Batman, and I did love him for that. And the graphic novels like Year One and all this. But is that where the best?
Yeah, it's true.
Is that? Do you think? Question for you, Liz. Do you think that's where they should go next? Like you're trying to do interdimensional, multiverses and beginning and
I mean,
find a story right here.
if I was at Warner Brothers right now,
Go on.
if I was at Warner Brothers right now, I'd be looking at fuck everything else off. I just want to focus on Batman.
Yeah.
Nothing else. I don't want to tie it into anything. I just want to give everyone a series of Batman films that everyone's going to love. I'd cover all your earlier sort of stuff in the first one. I would make sure that the design of Gotham is correct, and it's got and there's an element of detective side of Batman in each film.
Done, to be fair, old Todd Phillips
Yeah.
has done that.
Yeah. And I would focus mid years of Batman is actually opening up and letting people help you.
Yeah.
Robin, Batgirl, Batwoman, your whole Bat family. That'd be your mid.
Old Catwoman. What's her name in the latest one?
Yeah.
Zoe
Kravitz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people said they didn't see a lot of chemistry there, but
I thought she was good.
I thought she was crack-a-lacking.
Yeah, I thought she smashed it.
Yeah, I did.
I thought she absolutely smashed it. But I would, if I was to do a mid-year sort of Batman, sort of mid story, it would be about letting people in. It would be about letting people help you in your mission, so you're not on your own anymore, and adjusting to that you're not on your own. And then potentially in the next one, him losing it all. So you're Jason Todd getting taken out by Joker, Batgirl getting shot by Joker, etc. That loss, and that would then lead you into your end of days Batman, where he's grumpy, he's the bastard, he's lost everything, etc. He's failed in his mission in a way.
You're right, actually, and especially with I think he needs a boy wonder, and it's Pride Month, so why not have
see, I think the Nightwing storyline is something that's been very it's been very underrated. Nightwing as a character, I like that character. Very good character, very good character. You know, breaking away from Batman, becoming his own hero in his own rights is a very good storyline. But yeah,
in Dark Knight Returns and the subsequent volume, they did Robin as a girl.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That makes so much more sense aesthetically and wise. It didn't even raise it for me, and I've got big eyebrows. It didn't even raise one of them back in the late 80s when he just went, Robin is a girl that's like from the streets. Instead of it being a boy from the circus background and all that, Frank Miller went right for the modern, like the cut of it.
Yeah.
It made so much sense that when you read it, you're thinking, do you know what? And
well, they even used the character of Robin very well in the Court of Owls, because they sort of weaved the Court of Owls into that. They were using the Hades Circus as like a harvesting ground for their next assassins, their next talons.
Yeah.
So again, if you was to do, you know, you've got, say for example, the next Batman film, you open up with, you know, Robin's family dying and, you know, Batman sort of taking him in, seeing a bit of him in him, but then you bring the Court of Owls into it as well, and you realise actually he was supposed to be the next assassin. Worked perfectly. It could work really, really well. But I think that's what I would do if I was doing a mid-years Batman. I think the interesting thing with Batman is he starts on his own, and he ends on his own.
Yeah.
And I think that is
with only Alfred. I mean, Alfred's always going to be. Alfred's got to be there.
Yeah, Alfred's got to be there. And I mean, I've seen it once in the comics, and it was Bane. He snapped Alfred's neck, but they redid the continuity. I've only seen it once, but I've never seen it in anything else where they take out Alfred. Because imagine what would happen to Batman. We're talking about, you know, classics like The Killing Joke,
recently,
and stuff like that, and One Bad Day. You know, the Joker's always gone on at Batman. The Joker's mission is to turn Batman crazy. At the end of the day, that's his mission, to give him that one bad day. If the Batman ever lost Alfred, that's his one bad day. That's his last sort of person that grounds him and keeps him into that light. And I'm not saying the word ground him, but that stops him from going full Batman and losing his focus. Alfred's the one person that's been there. It's almost like it's his grounding point, isn't it? You take that away from him, he's gone. And he's on that edge. And I think that's another thing about Batman that sort of keeps him different from all the other superheroes. One, he's got no powers, but he's exceptional. The gothic aspect to it is another thing. But it's the fact that he's got that rage there, and you know that any second he could potentially lose it. That control that he's got and that discipline that he's got, that sort of just pulls him back when he needs to. But again, Affleck's Batman, when he goes into that warehouse and starts smashing people, it's brilliant.
And psychologically, if we're going to get deep into it, the character and all this, and it's been able to breathe over 80, what is it, 60? Yeah, nearly 80 years now, this character.
Yeah, it must be 80, yeah. Well, Joker was 75 years. That must be more than 75 now. I'm looking at it right now. I've got the 75-year annual of the Joker on the shelf, and it's a big old book. It's right next to the Dark Knight Returns that you got me, and it's epic. So it must be over 8 years.
But we're probably talking more of a male audience for this character. And it is, I think, it's a classic father-son dynamic with Alfred and Bruce.
Yeah.
You know, all the backstory, lost his mum and dad, blah, blah, blah. But it's proving yourself to your dad.
Yeah.
And this character, at the end of the day, it's back to, and the other one is Superman. Those two basic superheroic characters they are the distillation of as much as I'm a massive Marvel fan. Do you know what? Batman, and I know we only talked about Batman now, but Superman as well. They distill the essences. Of
big time.
The hero's journey and proving yourself and wanting to matter. Wanting to be seen. All these kind of classic snowflake tropes at the moment. Still apply them to Batman now. He still wants to be seen. He still wants to prove himself.
But I think what makes Batman special.
I know it's vengeance, but it's still got to resonate.
But it's the rogue gallery as well, isn't it?
Oh wow, 100%. So
come on. I mean, there's two questions I've got for you before we move on. One, you said Keaton Batman was your favourite. What did you? I know we've spoken about the Flash. Now that we've had a little bit of time to digest it, and we're talking specifically about Batman instead of the Flash movie as a whole, Keaton's Batman and the Flash. What was your thoughts? What did you think? Because both our favourite Batmen were in that film.
Michael Keaton, he can act rings round anyone, and he brought it. He brought it to the party. But
they get it wrong for you?
No, he didn't. They got it wrong at the beginning where he was.
Well, yeah, Affleck. That's what I'm getting. Well, interestingly, that's what that. Yeah, interesting. That's what I'm moving on to. Is
they are getting Batman.
Both our favorite Batmen were in that film. I said Affleck, you said Keaton. Both of them are in it. For me, in that film, they got Affleck totally wrong.
Yeah,
totally wrong. But I'm intrigued for you, for Keaton. For Keaton, did they get him totally wrong?
Well, I didn't really like the long-haired. I don't think the long-haired bit at the beginning fit in the kitchen.
And the one thing I was thinking of was, the one thing I was thinking of straight away was
mental. Let's give him long hair, and you meet him in the kitchen, and
yeah, and straight away I was thinking, how the hell does he know about multiverses? He's explaining it. He's explaining like a bowl of spaghetti.
But the Flash film in totality, do you know what? I thought it was all right.
Yeah, I did as well. It
wasn't any worse than any of the crap that Marvel are doing.
Well, the reason I'm getting onto the Flash was, as I've spoken about it before, was the Flashpoint graphic novel. That is possibly a very worthy honourable mention of a good Batman story in terms of the Thomas Wayne aspect of it.
Yeah.
So, and they bastardized it in this movie. They didn't even go there, but I won't bore everyone because I've said it many times before. But in the Flashpoint, you had Thomas Wayne as Batman, and it was Bruce Wayne that died in Crime Alley. And the whole story, the duality of the story, was beautiful through that. Yeah. And Thomas Wayne was an angry Batman that killed, he murdered people, he didn't care. And Martha was the one that went crazy and almost became a bit Joker-esque in that reality from the death of their son Bruce in Crime Alley. So when that story of Thomas Wayne realizing that actually there's another universe where my son's alive, I've done all these horrible things, I've led with an iron fist and I've murdered loads of people, I want to write that. I will sacrifice myself. Flash, I'm going to help you. I will sacrifice myself so I can save my son.
Yeah.
And that, even though it's a Flash comic, is a great Batman story. And that's probably why they marketed it as a Batman story, to be fair, but they didn't even go there. And I think for me that's the thing that was missing from that. I would like to have seen. It would have been quite cool to have seen Michael Keaton playing Thomas Wayne in a weird way. I think that would have been quite funny.
Or what would have been cool is like what they were building up to, and whatever film it was in with old
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
yes, Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
That was Snyder's. That was Snyder's. Yeah.
Schneider's idea.
Yeah.
That, and you can see what a shame, because now you can see what he was building up to, and you think, oh, because like even myself and Luke, when we originally watched it, and we went, what are they his mates? Like, are those two his mates?
Yeah.
And it was like, why are they doing it? Like,
Yeah.
everyone was probably thinking the same, but when you realise what he had in mind, you think, oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. It would have been great.
yeah.
It would have been so good.
And that Snyder, I know he's a nutter. I know he's a nutter, and he's also Marmite. So, but again,
I mean, I don't like his CGI heavy stuff, but I like what he tries to do.
CGI heavy in everything he does.
Oh, he's mad with it, isn't he? He goes mad.
But oh, you know, we was talking about Michael Bay when he first come out with the first Transformers films, and he does a certain film in a certain way.
Yeah.
I admit, I'd rather see that. I'd rather see Michael Bay. Like, I'm interested in seeing a film by Michael Bay, like I used to back in the day. It would be Ridley Scott, or
was that ambulance that we saw recently, wasn't it? That was awesome.
Yeah, but like when back in the day, I would think like Ridley Scott, or modern days Denis Villeneuve. Oh, he's doing June, but he done what was
imagine a Denis Villeneuve Batman. Fucking hell.
Yeah, but what was that Denis Villeneuve film we did with the aliens and old Lois Lane?
Arrival.
Yes, but with his name on it, and it's like Oppenheimer. And Lucas said to me, "Oh, I don't know about that, Dad. Like, you know."
I'm well up for that.
But yeah, but I'm well up for that because it's Nolan.
Yeah, no other reason, just Nolan.
Yeah, no, he's just gonna like something interesting out.
He demands for his films to be shown in cinema.
You know, the bloke that created the atom bomb, who invented the way to destroy, like even in the trailer where what's his name's character, he's the general, and he goes, so when you press that button, you don't know if you destroy the world or not, and he goes, nah. No, I don't actually. Anyway, we're drifting right off.
We're drifting right off. Question.
Go on.
One actor that has never played Batman that you would have liked to have seen play Batman. I know my one.
No, go on. If you've got one, go for it, because I haven't.
Josh Brolin.
Oh, what is an End of Days?
Dark Knight Returns Batman. Josh Brolin.
Yeah. See,
I think I would love to have seen that.
When Dark Knight Returns first come out, in Wizard magazine, which was this monthly mag about comic, and what it would do fantasy. Before everyone was doing comic book based films, they would do a casting choice for comics, films based on comics. So you would get them cast the X-Men film before they done it, and etc. etc. And the Dark Knight Returns, they had as Clint Eastwood as Bruce Wayne back in the day. Not now, he's 90. I'm going back 30 years.
That's interesting.
But you talking about casting, and I like the Josh Brolin, but that bloke could play.
He could do a lot, couldn't he?
Yeah.
He could do a lot.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think actually, I tell a lie. I'd like to have seen Affleck's Batman versus Josh Brolin's Hush.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
And I think what it is at the moment, though, Liz, your question, it's coming at a time, and I'm going to be completely honest, where I've got to admit, I don't want to see anyone playing anything from the comic books I love.
Yeah, because we've been
See,
hurt so many times.
yeah, I want to see
We've
them
been
leave
hurt.
it alone. Leave it
We've
alone.
been hurt. We've been abused.
Yeah,
We've been, yeah,
please just leave them all
yeah.
alone.
I mean, there's the latest cast. The reason I'm asking that is because obviously got the latest casting of Superman that's just been announced.
Oh, but no,
What, what, but what do you think if you had the
I
choice,
think that's
what
fair.
would be the Batman?
No,
What would be the Batman?
I don't know. Pluck a new actor out of the obscurity and just give it to them. I mean, honestly, I mean, Christopher Reeve, when he did, and he's still, that first Superman film is still the top of the shop. He was
I love
plucked
that opening.
out of obscurity.
Yeah,
What had Michael Keaton done before he was Batman? What, Beetlejuice? I don't know if he'd done that before or after, but Michael Keaton hadn't done a lot. Plucked from obscurity. If anything, do you remember Hugh Jackman?
yeah.
He was cast as Wolverine, and the whole comic world was going, "Oh my god, no, no!"
Well, best example of that.
They're mental.
Best example of that was Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah,
Everyone was going
that's
mental over that.
another one. That's another one. So I think I
I'm
think
teasing
decent
you.
actors, under the guidance of decent directors, can be guided. Even old Patterson, Mr. Patterson. I That first film was decent.
Yes.
I can't say it was shit. I'm not gonna. I didn't rant about it either way. Kind of like which is a shame. I wish I could have raved. I wish I could rave about it, but I couldn't. But
There was more good than bad. There was
he's
bad
a
elements to
decent
it.
actor.
But
Yeah, he's a decent actor. Yeah, you're right. More good than bad. So, but that makes it kind of, yeah, just about fall into all right territory.
yeah.
But let's see what they do. And Todd Phillips is a decent director that I hope, just pray to God.
Matt Reeves. Matt
Please,
Reeves.
no.
Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves.
Todd Phillips was Joker.
Yes, leaves him alone.
Yes.
Todd Phillips, Joker 2.
Interesting. Interesting. So I've said it to you before, and I remember before the first Joker movie came out, I
Mm,
was so anti that Joker movie when it was first announced. I was like, I don't need to know a Joker origin. The whole point of the Joker is we do not need to know who he is. It's a mystery to who he is. And to be fair, that's probably a criticism I could have of the '89 Batman, but they did go into like the Red Hood side of it. But the idea of the Joker is he's so nuts, he doesn't remember who he is. And as per Killing Joke, if he was to have a past, it would be multiple choice. So when the first Joker film with Phoenix came out, I was one of the first ones to go and see it. I had to go and see it.
I remember you being very apprehensive. Yeah.
I was so nervous about that film because I was just like, I hope they don't fuck this. But when I went in there and I watched it, I came out of that and I went with Taters to see it,
Yeah.
and I came out of it and I was just like, my mind's blown. Like especially because of the end when he goes, I was thinking of a joke. Straight away, that whole film for me, that's just one of his random thoughts about what his past could have been. That's how I see that film, which then ties in with how I like to see the Joker portrayed. That film, how he did that, like when he's in the apartment with his with the little midget guy, and he kills the bloke, he opens the door for him.
Yeah, that
Such dark humor, like when he's outside the hospital and he walks into the door, just so much stuff. But that film, that for me was wicked. But, and I've asked the question to you before, does Phoenix deserve to be in the category for the best Joker? He won an Oscar for it, but he wasn't the Joker for majority of that film, and he wasn't even the Joker at the end. So is he classed as a Joker actor
not
or not?
well, not for me. Just and this is a good discussion because all that Joker film was a character study of a
Yeah.
nutter, right?
Yes. Take
And
Joker out of it.
yeah, if it wasn't
Yeah.
called Joker, if it was called Frank or Fred or Bob, no one would have gone to watch that film. It would have been an art house. It would have been an art house film that went to a few festivals. It would have gone to the Venice Film Festival, and oh my god, it would have gone to Cannes, and it would have gone. It would have got the L'Oreal. It would have got the Laureate, the Cannes Award for best psychological drama.
But they did put Joker on it. They did put Joker on it, and it was fucking awesome.
But they labelled it the Joker, and it
And
made
there was just enough Batman in there as well, wasn't there, with the Thomas Wayne side of it?
they kind of shoehorned that in, and I'm being really, I'm kind of, I like the film, but again, it's that word, grounded.
Yes.
It was a film about a nutter on the tube train that shot some people and went mental and shot Robert De Niro.
What are you expecting from Joker 2?
When you compare that to Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson,
Yeah.
that's the Joker I want.
Yeah, 100%.
Mad, over the top. If I want to watch a superhero film, if I want to watch Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro in the gutter, yeah, in the 70s, because that's what the Joker was. That's what that film was with Joker and Phoenix. It was that. It was Death Wish. It was Taxi Driver. It was a dozen vigilante films I've seen, like those pot boilers. And that doesn't mean that they're bad films, and it doesn't mean that the Joker was a bad film. I did really enjoy it. I really
Yeah. Todd Phillips proved me
my
wrong.
comic book background, it
Yeah.
had flavour to it.
Yeah.
They
Todd
was
Phillips proved
reliant,
me wrong.
they was reliant on it. They was reliant on me knowing this was the Joker. They
Now,
relying on me having watched the 89 film, all of the Nolan films, and this is the Joker. You couldn't
now
go
the
in
other thing for me,
without knowing the comics and the other films. You couldn't go into that film.
yeah, no, I get that. I get that. I think for me, it's weird because the first one, and I've said it, I was so apprehensive going into that. He proved me wrong. I enjoyed the film. It's up there. It's a good film. Going into this second one, I've got the same apprehensions.
Oh, I
I'm
have.
just, yeah, I've got a lot of apprehensions on this one. I think even more so, even though Todd Phillips proved me wrong the first time, this time, you're telling me it's a musical. And this was one of the first things we spoke about, one of the very first hogCasts.
Yeah.
When it was announced, and we still haven't got it yet. We still got nothing more of it. I mean, I've seen some behind the scenes. I've seen some behind the scenes footage of him back on that stairwell with Gaga. I don't know if you've seen that.
I think it's going to be. Let's see if I'm right. I really enjoyed the first one. I think a lot of people did. I think this second one is going to be self-indulgent nonsense.
Yeah, that's my fear.
That's my one sentence, my one prediction. Self-indulgent nonsense.
So we've spoken about. So okay, that yeah. To be fair, I kind of agree with that, and that is my biggest fear. I hope it's not, and I hope it's another same sort of level. I don't think it's going to beat the first one. At the very best it can do, it can match the first one and add a different flavour to it. And that's what I hope. Whether it does or not, it's a whole nother story. So we're getting onto it. We're getting onto the classic discussion. So we've sort of eliminated Jacqueline Phoenix. We've eliminated Jacqueline Phoenix.
Have we? What is the best Joker?
Yeah, because he's not really a Joker, is he?
No. No,
He's Arthur Fleck.
the nut job. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Arthur Fleck. So let's get on to the controversial one, and then we know who it's going to be narrowed down to. But let's get on to the controversial one, the one that you and me had the big debate about. Let's revisit it. Let's go back into the fucking war zone. Jared Leto. Now, let me put the argument forward first. Let's start.
Better make it good.
Let's start. Let's start with the argument,
Go on,
right?
go on. You fire the first shots. With
So
Harry, Effie.
am I saying that Jared Leto's Joker's the best? No, not by a long shot.
What are you saying? Why are you mentioning his name then?
What I'm saying is that no, he wasn't the best, but he wasn't as bad as what everyone was saying.
No, but that's not the game, is it? Who's the best one?
Oh, the best one. For me, it's Heath Ledger. For me, it's Heath Ledger.
That's more
because, but I just want to talk about Jared Leto, so now that winds you up. I just think he's a good actor. He is a good actor, and he put a lot into that portrayal of it. And a lot of his best scenes were cut. I'd have no idea why. I've seen the deleted scenes.
Yeah,
I've seen the deleted scenes. He's a bloke that was done over, and I think the hatred that he got for his portrayal was unjustified because he didn't get the screen time. His best scenes were cut, and he was put in the worst films. I think if you put him up against Affleck in a good Batman film, I think he would deliver. Evidenced by the final scene in Snyder's version. I thought that was spot on.
I think Leto is an intense actor, and he was recognised as such when he done his first couple of films, Dallas Buyers Club and all that. But what the 10 years since his arrival has, for me, has recognised is the fact that he just acts Jared Leto.
Blade Runner 2049.
Exactly. He goes, "Oh, I'm mysterious and I don't care." So every character he does, he just goes, "I am mysterious and you don't know what I'm up to." Really? Well, that worked in your first film, but if you listen, if he's going to make his career on that, because other actors and actresses have done exactly the same,
yes,
on even less than that. But for me, that just makes him he was the most boring Joker. What, a machine gun in the back of the helicopter?
No, I'm not talking about those scenes. I'm talking about the scenes with Harley Quinn that were cut.
I never want to see Joker with hardware.
No, and again, I'm not talking about that.
Picture of the Joker, the insanity. I want to see him with a pencil.
The best glimpse of his Joker that we got,
a pencil. That's how you want to see the Joker, whether it's Leto or Ledger or Caesar.
The best glimpse of Leto's Joker that we got was the deleted scene with Harley Quinn on the motorbike.
The best scene they never used.
It was of his, to be fair. I have no idea. I can't argue enough why that scene should not have been cut. That was the best scene he delivered in terms of Joker.
What scene was this?
It was so basically it's like a flashback when Harley Quinn. So he's just broken outside Arkham Asylum, and Harley Quinn's infatuated with him, and she chases him down on the motorbike, and she stops him in the middle of the motorway.
Yeah,
she kills someone for him and holds the gun to his head, and yeah, that encapsulates Joker and Harley perfectly. I have no idea why the hell they cut it.
To Leto, he did say there's a whole scene about all his teeth being knocked out by the Batman, and that's why he's got all
the grills and
a load of promotional material, which I did like, where he had all the tats around his neck and all that, and he looked like a modern
And the smiley face tattooed on his hand and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I liked all
It
that.
was a bold choice, and even some of the scenes that were cut from within Arkham. So when he does the initial breakout of Arkham in the film,
Yeah,
when he has Harley tied to the table, that scene was cut in half. I've
yeah.
seen the whole version of that. Fuck me, that's 10 times better. 10 times better. That bloke, I don't know who he pissed off, but he got screwed big time. He got screwed big time.
But you either, and this is where with Leto, I'm going to disagree completely. You either make him, and all the promotional material was tattooed up, and all the teeth, and Leto giving it large, and all the interviews and all that. Right? Okay, he was going full method. Okay. Now you either do that, or like you either go grounded,
Yeah.
or you go mental with Harley.
Mm.
You can't do both. If you're going to have him hanging out the back of an helicopter with a machine gun, and that's my one abiding memory of it, and I'm thinking, why have a character like the Joker? Do you need the Joker as an enemy hanging out of the back of a helicopter with a machine?
No, you don't. No, you don't.
That's you need that in a Punisher movie or Expendables 5. Like you,
Yeah.
no, but that's the film you need.
Yeah, exactly.
In Batman and the Joker, you want him, Joker and Phoenix. All right, I know we've had our criticism of. I've got my criticisms of him, but have him mental. Have Heath Ledger mental when he's dressed as a nurse doing his waddle. Like Christopher Nolan has literally directed a scene. He's waddling away from a hospital.
Yeah.
It's the Joker and his hair. Hello, and you've given no rhyme or reason. This character exists. The first time we see him, he's raiding a bank, and even shotgun, even the guy from the gang, from the mob, is saying, "Do you know whose bank this is? Do you know what you're doing?" And he goes, "Oh, fuck off!" And he's got the grenade and the gas and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
That's Joker.
100%.
That's Joker.
So we've whittled it down.
Leto is the least. And I'm not attacking him. It's maybe the grounding they want to, but you can't ground the Joker, can you? Otherwise, you cancel the character out like the Riddler. I think actually, now I'm thinking about it, when you ground all of the rogues, the Batman's rogues gallery, the best of them, when you ground them, you kind of you rub them out, don't you? You kind of delete.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it to be superheroics anymore.
No, and I think when you ground it, you also lose that gothic side as well.
And he's got the best rogues gallery.
I mean, the only person that I can, I mean, the only superhero I can liken his rogue gallery to is Spider-Man in terms of sheer amount.
The best rogues gallery, yeah.
And I still think Batman does it with the best rogues gallery.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, and 100%. No one in that genre, in actually in any genre, even James Bond or any fictional character, Sherlock Holmes. All he had was Moriarty, and I know Batman's got Joker, but the wider rogues gallery.
Yeah.
And again, that's testament to the strength of the character.
Yeah.
And he's not a superhero.
Exactly. That's the mad thing about it.
Exceptional. He's an exceptional man. Not a non-binary man. He's just a man. He's a male. He's an alpha male.
So we've narrowed it down.
Yes.
It's going to be between Nicholson and Ledger.
Yeah. And then
what are you going for? I know mine, and I'll
We've got to
100%.
make a decision. But what are we going to base this decision on? Because to do this, you've got to cast a critical eye.
Very critical eye. So with Ledger's Joker,
I'm just going to go to Nicholson for being mad. There's no origin. He falls into a vat of acid, but there's no. He was Jack, whatever it is,
Napier, yeah.
Jack Napier. But everything he does from there, he hasn't got a mission. He doesn't care. He's gassing people. Like in the first Batman film, he's got the big balloon and all that, and it's going to let off loads of gas. He's just randomly killing people.
Now, don't get me wrong, I love both of them. I think they're both awesome. But for me, Ledger pips it in terms of that madness. Yes, it's a darker madness. And, you know, the whole thing of John now got these scars and the way he is in that film, that is a performance of a lifetime. And I think he pips it. And there are bits when he has that, like when he's facing down in the street, and Batman's driving towards him, and he's like, "Come on, come on, come on!" Come on. And he shoots. And then when he goes towards him, he starts doing all that jokey, and he starts dancing around his body.
Yeah,
that for me encapsulates. Whereas Nicholson, yes, mad, crazy, dancing around. For me,
too theatrical.
Yeah, I think they're both awesome performances. But if you was to pit them, you know, Nicholson versus Ledger.
Ledger is a worthy successor.
Yeah, I think if I was to choose, and again, it could be a generational thing. If I was to choose my Joker, it is Ledger. Ledger pips it right at the last bell. He pips it. If you was to pit them against each other, and I think it's just more of the presence on screen. I think now Nicholson obviously has got an amazing presence on screen, but where they like indulge the comedy side to him a little bit too much in the 89, and this is me being with a critical eye.
Go on.
It takes the fear away as much, whereas the Joker in Ledger, with Ledger's Joker, he is that when he comes on screen, you know he's on screen. You have no idea what he's about to do. You're on edge. He takes out his Maggie Gyllenhaal's character, Rachel. He takes her out. He destroys Harvey Dent, and you just have no idea what he's going to do next. And at the end, he's got the two ships, and there's that level of yeah. He's
an archaic character. So
yeah, and I think for me that captures the Joker as close as you're going to get. If I was to be heavily critical of Ledger's, you know, like I was just saying, I was dancing around Batman in the street. I'd like to have seen one or two more scenes like that of him dancing around a little bit. But other than that, I can't fault Ledger's performance. I think Ledger's got to be the one for me.
No, that's fair enough, and I can't fault his performance either. But I keep measuring my judgments on watchability. Now, I could watch Ledger's scenes in and of themselves all day long.
Yes.
Pencil, the head on the pencil, and all the rest of it. And
here's my card.
Yeah, even the bank scene at the beginning of it. I mean, that's a great intro scene. That the whole bank heist
is that compared to the Batman, where you've got the murder and then you've got the monologue intro in the Batman. And I said at the very beginning, I think that's that's the best intro to a Batman film. The other one is what you're just saying there. The Joker's, the bank heist. That is a pretty good intro, isn't it?
The music.
In your opinion, what one pips it for you? In your opinion, out of those two?
I know it's generational, and I know it is just Nicholson for me.
Yeah, I get it.
So, and it goes back to it literally boils back to watchability.
Yeah.
And I could watch that entire first film with Kim Basinger, Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton, and associated cast over again. Like
Even Billy D. Williams, Harvey Dent. I thought he was good as Harvey Dent.
Yeah. I could just watch that film again. Whereas, and I know what you're saying about Heath Ledger, and I loved it to bits, the performance and the film and the intro and everything. It's modern and the soundtrack is going, and they've got the zip wires and everything, and the school bus reversing into the bank, and the bloke's got the shotgun, and he goes, "You don't know whose bank this is," and poof, but as an entire film, do I want to watch that entire film again? And I love Nolan. I'm not slating Nolan. But do you know what? That first Batman film with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson and Kim Basinger was just a good. It's just a
and the ending as well. And the ending as well.
My age and a generational thing, but it's just a good film. It's an 80s film. It's like Back to the Future or Footloose or.
You know, I love those films.
Never ending story.
But if you was to take, we've already spoken about Joker, and we've already.
Yeah.
I think we're never going to agree on the Joker aspect of it, and I think it's because it's a generational thing.
Leto is the weakest one, though.
Arguably, yes, but still not as weak as what everyone thinks.
Not as weak as who else? Who else is the weakest one then?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
Cesar Romero from the 1960s.
Yeah, way better than that.
No, because even he's better than that.
All I'm saying is with Leto's is that he was done a disservice and he didn't get the screen time.
I'll allow it.
But in terms of ultimate Joker, I think I'm always going to go Ledger. You're always going to go Nicholson.
No, that is worth but then
and that's worthy. That's worthy.
Yeah, I mean Ledger. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm just weighing up. We're talking about millimeters.
Yeah.
We're talking about millimeters of measurement of who is our favourite, and if it's gonna. But what I think that perfectly illustrates is what you grew up with.
Yes.
In a way, because if it resonated with you, if it impacted you,
but then I grew up with Nicholson's. But you argue that. I know it's generational, but I grew up with Nicholson's. I said to you, I watched that film when I was 7.
How old was you in 1989?
I wasn't even born. I was -1.
Exactly. So you didn't grow up with that one, then, did you?
No, but it was again, as I said at the very beginning, I watched 89, Returns, and Forever before I watched Batman and Robin. I was 6, maybe 7 years old.
Right, but what films was you watching when you was 22? I was 22 when the 1989 Batman came out.
I was 18 when Dark Knight came out.
Exactly. And
but I still
Ledger, and Ledger is awesome. So that's what I mean. That's what is going to stick with you. That's what's going to be in your head. If you've watched Ledger and then you go back and watch the first 1989 Batman film, you're going to go, oh yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying to you. I watched the 89 Batman film before I watched Ledger multiple times before I watched Ledger, but I still say Ledger's better. I still say Ledger's better. And I say I grew up, I know as a child, but I grew up with Nicholson's Joker until Ledger came along when I was 18.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know what we've decided now. I'm
right, you're wrong.
Just because you're an alien doesn't make you right, Liz.
No, I think it's one of those things where both are so worthy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be very.
It's all worthy, and it's always.
It's all worthy. I think it's one of those things where you know, I don't hate you for liking Nicholson's Joker more than Ledger's. I don't, because they're both worthy.
You do.
No, but they're both worthy. They're both worthy, and I think it's
Listen,
one of those things
we're
where
about,
we'd happily agree to disagree on that.
yeah, we're talking about all the shit we love. That's what
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, what villain would you like to see next? Apart from Court of Owls, we've spoken about Court of Owls, and I think we sort of agreed
all
that's
done
what
well.
we'd want to see.
All
Who?
Mr. Freeze. You know, we were talking earlier on about a live action edition of something.
Yeah,
That Batman Animated Adventures episode where Mr. Freeze.
they did that though in Batman and Robin with Arnie.
I'm going to end it right there. I'm going to end it right there because obviously the oxygen's running out on the space station, and you're going mental.
No, no. To be fair, the heart of Ice episode was wicked.
That's a good one, though.
The Heart of Ice episode was very good.
I'd love to see that live action.
See, I think I'd like to see Mad Hatter.
Yeah, but no, see, Mad Hatter was done really well in Gotham.
Yeah, and I think that's why, because I think Mad Hatter for me was always.
I think what we're saying is we want to see more.
Yeah, yeah, and I think. I mean,
isn't it a shame that like the makers of Gotham, and I know it was Danny Boyle involved and all that, but
what about Deathstroke? Because I know that's what was rumored for Affleck's solo Batman film before it all went to shit.
He's one of the more two-dimensional. I'm not saying he's a shit villain.
He'd be a good villain in terms of, again, underneath the banner of the Court of Owls. He'd be
in league with someone else.
Yeah, he'd be a good person that they hire to take out Batman, because Batman's already taken out a Talon.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. That's how I would see Deathstroke working. But it's mad though, isn't it? Because some of the best Batman content has been in the video games, and the Arkham games especially. I've played. I'm not a big gamer, and I've played 2 of them, and I've thoroughly enjoyed each one. And again, Deathstroke features heavily in one of them, and it's just like, wow, yeah, he's a good bad guy, he's a good adversary, and I think, I mean, they sort of use.
I don't want to see the next Batman. I mean, look what they've done with the Riddler already. Do you know what they've done? They grounded him.
Yeah.
And, you know, what is he? A cup of coffee now? I don't know what they're going to
I mean, obviously they done Two-Face.
If we take all of it away from the Rogues Gallery, like the Penguin, you know, if you take that, what that young actor did in Gotham and how he played it with the limp, and when those episodes of his mum and all that, when they brought all that in,
yeah, really good.
That's pure fantasy.
Yeah.
No, I call it exceptionalism, but that's the fantasy side of it that I am missing. I'm not saying the latest, you know, Mr. Patterson's Batman is shit. I did enjoy the film, and I enjoyed the detective aspect of it, like you do. But if they go too far,
yeah,
all we've got is a detective in fancy dress. You know, that might as well be like with a hat on.
Yeah, it's almost like they need to go back a step. So where you've got sort of like your 89 or your Nolan Batman, where it's like more of a action. I mean, 89's gothic side, Nolan's spectacle, but with a sprinkling of the detective. And I still say that would be your best Batman combination. And I think the best way to get that.
And you're right. Nolan pitched it perfectly, really.
Yeah, he did.
For a superhero in the modern age, I know we said like that could be Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, whatever it is, but he did that for a reason.
But weirdly, he changed his style, because if you watch Batman Begins,
yeah,
Gotham in Batman Begins is very gothic, and then
Yeah.
he just drops it before he goes to Dark Knight, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, with a train going into the
Yeah,
yeah.
very gothic. It was Scarecrow, and Cillian Murphy plays a great Scarecrow.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. Oh, we can play anything.
Oh, he smashed it. He
He's
smashed it.
a great actor. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's obviously worthy. I mean, anything Nolan does is worthy. But
always, always.
I'm still going to go for Old geekyOlhog's going to go for Nicholson.
Yeah, fair play, fair play. And I can't hate you for that because I love it too.
Really, going for Nicholson and Keaton, but with a soupçon of Affleck.
Yeah, 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 100%.
You're going for Ledger.
Affleck.
You're going for Ledger. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah,
To be fair, that's a good combo for an alien.
yeah, yeah. I do good combos, man.
Well, I don't know what else.
I mean, we could, without going into certain things in depth.
Go
I
on.
mean, we could be speaking about this for hours. To be honest with you, in terms of like the best Batman films and
Go on.
what's the worst Batman film?
God.
The worst. Let's end it on a moan. What's the worst?
Should we not? Should we not? Because you're going to make me start ranting then. And no, this has been a beautiful homage to everything.
It has.
So I'm not going to allow an alien. I'm not going to go there.
Not going to go there. Not going to go there. It's all good.
I'm not going to let an alien allow me to go there because this has been a brilliant, yeah.
And yeah, I'm glad we finally got around to doing this because it's kind of what sparked a lot of stuff back in the day, in it. Our drunken conversations.
We've purged our souls.
We have.
That's it. We've exercised our demons.
Yeah, big time. But no, it's the thing with Batman is it's so rich with all the characters, not just Batman himself. If you take Batman on his own, not only is he a very interesting character, but it's all the characters around him, the Rose Gallery, Alfred, Gordon, all the characters around him. And I think Gordon's an unsung hero as well, because Gordon as a character is awesome. He's the straight-laced detective in the city of corruption, and he's trying to get things done properly and things done right. And he knows that he can't do that, so he has to rely on Batman to do that, to help him. And he has to go outside of the law and trust in the vigilante to uphold the law. That's a really interesting dynamic.
And there are certain characters in literature that have stood the test of time. You know, the main one being kind of Sherlock Holmes, but then you move on to maybe James Bond, you know, that survived for 70 years. I'm not talking about cinema now, I'm talking about literature.
Mm.
And I think Batman's in there.
Well, yes, it's over 8 years. It's got to be over 8 years.
I think Batman's in there. And
100%.
I think we've given it a good shot.
Yeah, I mean, we try to cover as much as we can.
Yes.
There's a lot that hasn't been covered, but yeah, maybe a part 2.
Yes. Anyway, thank you for participating in our what can we call it? Assessment, dissection,
and love of Batman.
Yeah,
because he's awesome.
We
And
sliced it with love.
You've always said that your 2 favourites are Daredevil and Captain America. Batman's mine, without a doubt. No, he's 100%. He's 100% mine. Followed, Daredevil's in there in the top 3. He's in there. Batman. I do like a bit of the Flash as well. He's up there for me. In the comics, nothing in the film, but in the comics, he's up there for me.
But just quickly on that point, I've got to admit that Flash movie that's been out recently. I know this dates this video. It's going to timestamp this video now, but I did enjoy that film.
Yeah, I did. I was very surprised.
I just thought that was decent. It
It,
wasn't
it,
it wasn't quip heavy. It
it was one of those films that I was very confused about. I mean, I remember walking out of the cinema and I was very I just felt a bit numb. I was very confused. I didn't know if I liked it, didn't know if I hated it.
hmm,
It was only when we spoke through it on a hogCAST, I was thinking, oh yeah, fuck, yeah, shit, that bit, yeah, oh yeah, I like that. And yeah, I think my assessment of it is, yeah, it was good. There's issues, but it was good.
yeah, I like Supergirl.
Yeah, yeah, she was awesome. She was standout. She was standout.
If you listen to too many of certain people, it's like, oh my god, oh, they replaced Superman. No, they haven't. They just brought her in, and she was a decent actress.
Yeah.
And it wasn't all about a woke kind of replacement for Superman. But anyway, let's
Mm.
save that for the next podcast.
Oh yes, that's
Uh,
soon as well, isn't it?
so thank you, Liz.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
That has been superb discussion on everything Batman, and I think that
That's...
might be the thumbnail title, Everything Batman. Um, and well, hopefully, our love for the character has shone through, both human and alien.
Yes.
And well, I will see you on the next podcast, be it special or normal.
I'm always there, man. I'm always there.
Adios.
Adios. No,
Freeze
no.
frame.
Freeze frame. Freeze frame.
Stay there. Stay there. 1 minute. And that's enough.